Hey folks, welcome back to Meta Abuse. I'm your host Battle Mode, and I've also got fellow co-hosts Lucid Tactics and Sean Frag Tactics.
What's up,
How we
guys?
going, boys?
Going pretty good, man. So this week we thought we'd just have a bit of a catch-up episode, really, and just talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the gaming news. So fairly loose topic, but I like these episodes because it gives us the opportunity just to kind of go over what's on our minds in the gaming sphere. And we've picked some interesting topics this time around and some interesting games as well. I think the first thing we're going to talk about will be the announcement of Dawn of War 4, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 4. This is going to be the fourth iteration in a fairly long running series now of Warhammer 40k based real time strategy games. I was a massive fan of Dawn of War 1. I quite liked Dawn of War 2, and I refunded Dawn of War 3. So, and I don't think I was alone in that. What about you guys? What was your history with these games?
I played Dawn of War 1 a lot. And then Dawn of War 2, I also played a lot. I liked it. I probably actually liked it. I think most people like Dawn of War 1 more than Dawn of War 2. I probably liked 2 better than 1, but I like both of them. 3 I didn't even buy. Yeah. I don't get suckered too often. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the general stance, isn't it? Like 3 didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the reviews. I saw the thing. Yeah.
What did go wrong with 3? Because I think that here's an interesting thing, and this will kind of maybe lead into a conversation about the nature of sequels and things, because Dawn of War 2 dramatically changed the gameplay of Dawn of War 1. So for those of you who don't know, Dawn of War 1 was a game made by Relic. It's a classic RTS, although it deviated from the traditional sort of Westwood style of RTS in that it was very much about capture points. So you'd have these kind of requisition points where you would capture points on the map. It was a map control game, very in a mechanically enforced way. So you'd have these strategic points on the maps. You'd have resource requisition points that would you'd have resource points. I think you had certain resource points as well. Am I remembering that right? Or was the original? It might be that the original one was just a tactical. There was just strategic points. Anyway, it was a map control game.
Well, so you had different things, but they weren't. The main thing was the requisition points, but there were like relic spots you could get. There were there was energy and there was requisition. So
that's right.
Those were the two things. Yeah.
Sure, and so, but it was still a classic RTS in the sense that it had a strategic layer. So you were responsible for the construction of your own base, putting down units, summoning units onto the map, and then you'd run around taking control points and you'd skirmish with the enemy. It played quite differently to like the classic Command and Conquer style of RTS, but it was a breath of fresh air. Now, Company of Heroes 2, which was also by Relic, Company of Heroes was a kind of follow-up to Dawn of War, and it was a sort of World War II themed version of the same game, basically.
Wait, which one?
They really changed the formula in a big way. Now
you're saying Company of Heroes?
Yes, Company of Heroes was the first. I think that was the game that came out after Dawn of War 1.
Okay.
I think that came out before Dawn of War 2. Yes, I think it did. So. And that was really, really good. It's a really, really good game. It's very much the same kind of game, but they really made more of the tactical things. So, for example, you'd send your squads out to capture places on the map, but there'd be like sandbags that you could hide behind, and then you could set up machine gun nests behind sandbags. So you had to use something approximating real tactics in order to be able to get around things like a machine gun nest. You couldn't just charge your troops at a machine gun nest because you'd die, right? So the addition of terrain and things that really, really like amplified the gameplay. But Dawn of War 2 was very different. It kind of added. It was almost like a bit of a Warcraft 3 sort of vibe where they tried to make the heroes much more powerful, and there was less units to control. And I think now. I see, because I've had some debates with people about this, and I see a very MOBA-like gameplay kind of creeping in. Now, it's not a MOBA. Okay, I'm not claiming that Dawn of War 2 is MOBA. It's not. It plays completely differently, especially in the campaign mode. It's nothing like it, really. But the skirmish mode of Dawn of War 2, which is what I mostly played, I don't really play campaigns in these games much anymore. It had that element where you were kind of controlling you did build units, but you were mostly controlling your main hero character, and then you had these kind of supplementary units that would come in. But it was still kind of similar gameplay. That you still had the requisition, and you had to take the strategic points on the map, and different points gave you different things. And but the campaign was very much like it was based around the heroes, right? So it wasn't like you were pumping out 20 units of Space Marines to go and take on a big horde of orcs. It was more like you had like a squad of troops, like one squad, I think, and then you were kitting them out. They had like a leveling up mechanic, so it was very much based. It had like an RPG system built in, so it really changed the gameplay from what I would consider to be a classic real-time strategy game closer to a real-time tactics game, and it had some kind of MOBA-ish elements like the towers and stuff like that, if I remember right.
Dude, by the way, this trailer, this like launch trailer for Dawn of War 2, chef's kiss. It was so good.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, where they're running through the jungle.
So yeah.
Hectic.
This is an incredibly good co-op game, by the way. The campaign co-op campaign is like as the chef's kiss from me comes for the co-op campaign on that. I think it was so much fun.
Yeah, I was going to say Dawn of War 2 was. I was going to say Dawn of War 2 was where I started off. I think I went back and played a bit of 1, but didn't end up spending a lot of time with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I can't remember what happened. I just got distracted or something. I don't know. But yeah, Dawn of War 2, I spent quite a bit of time with, and I got that the real time tactics vibe kind of thing. It's sort of like your Desperados, your Commandos kind of thing, minus basically all of the stealth. You had those light RPG elements, and you're not just running. You start off with the one squad, but then by the time you get to like your second mission or whatever, you're running scouts and heavy devastators and tactical marines. Like you've got, I think later on, you've got like 3 or 4 squads that you're managing, and then you've got your cover system like Company of Heroes, and they've all got their light RPG elements where you can change their gear and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's almost like I think of it sort of like a Desperados kind of thing minus the stealth in the campaign.
But then it had but then it had those the kind of like cooldown abilities, which that's part of where I'm saying
that's
it's kind
like
of
the MOBA part. Yeah,
it wasn't just MOBAs were doing that as well, but that was also in roguelike games actually. Like certain roguelike games were starting to, classic roguelike games were starting to have cooldown time use abilities around the same kind of time with games like Tales of Maj'Al or Tome as it's called. But so it wasn't just the MOBAs that were doing that, man. That was a tactics thing too. But still, this is a fantastic game. It's really, really good. And if it's ever on sale, it's one of those that you just got. Even if you don't really like, kind of those kind of RTS style games, I think it's worth playing through once at least. But
the trailer for 3 was cool too. I mean, the game didn't actually happen, but the trailer was cool. Yeah. See, I played.
Well, the trailer actually isn't quite. Is this the trailer? Is this the? Which one am I looking at here? Because this is maybe this is like just showing off. Maybe is this the actual trailer?
Now, Dawn of War 3 was close to a MOBA in the sense that it was designed for esports, so it was really designed for competitive play and in teams as well. And it had that MOBA style map where you had like two, like you'd have 2 bases at the one end of the map and 2 bases at the other, and then with the capture points. So that one was I think that one, it's not a MOBA, but it's got that MOBA elements. It's way more so than Dawn of War 2 even, really. And I think this is the one that really people were turned off from because it was very disappointing. It wasn't like Dawn of War 1, and it wasn't like Dawn of War 2. And both of those games had their huge fan bases, right? There are a lot of Dawn of War 1 players who didn't like Dawn of War 2. I didn't like Dawn of War 2 anywhere near as much as Dawn of War 1, but I could recognize it as a good game, but it was completely different, right? It played very differently. Yeah. And Dawn of War 3 didn't really play like either. I think it tried to bring back elements of Dawn of War 1 in the sense that it had more units to use. So, but then it still leaned very heavily into the sort of RPG mechanics sort of thing where you. Yeah, it's just had it was one of those games that was very much like a MOBA in the sense of like, they were trying to get people to plan out the ebb and flow of the game. This is the start of the game. This is what you're going to do at the start. This is what you're going to do at the middle. Much more so than Dawn of War 1 was. And I think that it just didn't land for some reason. I think it was considered to be an incredibly disappointing game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey, Lucy,
I haven't played it. I watched. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I put the actual trailer that I was thinking of. It was the announced trailer. I put it in the in a text channel.
Did. Okay.
It was a sick trailer with all the bones falling out of the sky and stuff. Like that was a cool trailer.
Copy that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mainly played actually I really only played the campaign of that because I got it off a third-party site. I wasn't like a really sketchy one, but yeah, I got it off a third-party site, so I couldn't refund it. And I played, pretty much, what did I play? I played, because it changes between I can't remember. I think it might have been, no, it would be the Blood Angels, wasn't it? I don't know, it changes between the Space Marines and the Orcs. And I didn't hate the campaign, but it was not that good. And then I never ended up playing the multiplayer because by then everyone's just like, no, screw this game, and there was just no one to play with. So I dropped it.
Yeah, it was a flop, to say the least. So when Dawn of War 4 was announced, I was quite interested because it's like, well, I'm surprised that anybody is taking this up, and it's not Relic doing it this time. It's a different company. It's the guys who did Iron Harvest.
Yeah, it's King Art Games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I think Relic kind of shit the bed too many times, and they're out now.
Yeah, they're done.
Well, Relic did was it Age of Empires 4 as well, and they had another studio supervising them. Was it World's Edge, like to try and make sure that they didn't do something crazy with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think Relic
that didn't really work. It was Age of Empires 4 was kind of a fail, right? Like people played 2, right? Am I crazy?
I think it launched a bit iffy, but then after some support and patching, it's actually pretty good. But yeah, initially it was like a pretty mixed reception.
I think the last time we looked, it had about the same players as Age of Empires 2, the Age of Empires 2 remakes on Steam. But Age of Empires 2 is one of those games that people play on GOG. They're still playing the original, physical version. So I think that it's difficult to tell the exact figures for AoE 2 because it's played, all across.
Yeah, no, this doesn't look like it shit the bed. It's got 18,000 people playing it.
Yeah, it's 86% on Steam too.
Yeah. That's good for an RTS.
Yeah, no, I think at the start it was pretty mixed, and then they did I don't know, it was after about probably maybe the 6-month mark where they did some support and all that kind of thing, and then it turned around and people were happy with it.
Okay.
So yeah, they did all right.
Yeah, that's respectable player numbers.
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like Dawn of War 3 was pretty hard to come back from, so it kind of makes sense that they've handed it off to someone else. Well, then see, they did the same thing with Company of Heroes 3. They launched that and it just really shit the bed. Like they did quite poorly. I don't know if they've ever turned it around, but it was really poor for ages and it was expensive. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was like $70 or something ridiculous, and then it just sucked, and they've been releasing all this DLC, but then they weren't really fixing much, and I don't know where it's at now, but it was doing really poorly. So yeah, they haven't had a great track record lately.
Well, the new developer, they did Iron Harvest, which when I played, I played the demo because they released a demo, and I was like, oh, it's Company of Heroes again. It was basically the same game except with giant mechs instead of tanks. There are some differences, but it's not, fundamentally, it's Company of Heroes. It's pretty much the same game. So if anybody's going to be able to do this, it's them. I mean, because Relic, like we say, I don't think there's anybody left at Relic anymore from the original team. I'm guessing, I'm pure speculation, but this is generally how it goes with these developers. All the good developers either move up into management positions or they move on. So I can't imagine that Relic is what it was. So this is a fair opportunity for Dawn of War 4, I think, because I actually bought Iron Harvest today to take a bit of a look at it before we did the podcast. I played through a map. That's solid. It didn't do very well, I don't think, though, and I can't remember what the issue was with Iron Harvest. Sean might have some more info on that.
Yeah, well, actually, real quick, I just looked at Company of Heroes 3 and it's still not doing that well. It's still sitting at the higher end of mixed, and there's still a bunch of negative reviews coming in. So anyway, Iron Harvest, yeah, so I played a fair bit of that, mainly the campaign, and I played some skirmish with friends. I think they kind of had the right idea to begin with, and then they sort of diluted it by trying to cater to everyone because they got the multiplayer guys. They're like, "Oh, we need all these maps," and they tend to be very vocal. They want the maps and they want the balance tweaks and all the rest of it. And originally, it was supposed to be more of a single player focus, and they were just supposed to have the narrative campaign and then have sort of the skirmish and everything was kind of an afterthought. But I think now, because it's getting harder and harder to make these, they tried to focus on the one thing that they thought everybody wanted, and I think they had the right idea to begin with. But then, because they tried to do more and more and more after release, I think everything started to suffer a bit because of it. And then also you had some technical issues that they never really got around. Like they had there was a delay of about, I think it was like half a second or something. When you try to give a unit a command, there'd be a delay before it would actually respond to the demand.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And they never got around that completely. They reduced it, but they never completely eliminated it. And then there was also a lot of pathfinding issues because you'd have your mechs, and once you get to your bigger mechs, they're so freaking big that they just block each other off in paths, and then you'd constantly have to like shepherd your units around because they'd be running around trying to find alternate access points because your own mechs were so big they were blocking the path. So yeah, it was a really cool idea, and I actually quite liked the campaign, especially because I played it with I think you can turn on Polish subtitles in VA. I turned that on because I was just like, I don't know, I'm kind of getting into just look at the subtitles now while you're watching the VA. I was doing the same thing with Stalker. I did it in Ukrainian. It just sounds more authentic kind of thing. So I was doing that with Iron Harvest, and you had the Polish VA. I was getting into that, and it was a pretty cool game, but it did have some issues, and I hope that they've sort of learned from that, and that they can, if they've learned from that and they can prevent that kind of thing happening with the Dawn of War 4, then I'm quietly hopeful it might be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Iron Harvest is pretty heavily inspired by Warhammer as well. You know, it's got these fucking huge mechs that are kind of like absurdly large and things like that.
It's actually based on a board game, It's based on Scythe. That's the I think he's a Polish artist who he did this cool art. That's the one, thank you. And he did this cool like artwork. It was like World War II meets, alternative World War II meets like giant mechas, and like this kind of steampunk sort of vibe. And then they built a board game called Scythe around it, which is a very popular board game. And then this is, I don't know if it's officially a Scythe game, but it's basically the same. It's either it's so loosely inspired that it's basically a copy, or I think they've got the permission. Although I'm looking at most stuff. I'm looking at this promo stuff, and I don't see any mention of Scythe actually here, but it might be more based on the original artist's artwork. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Lucid, but I just thought it's very close to Warhammer as well. Those are dreadnoughts, right? Those things are dreadnoughts. Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would be pretty heavily considered for this, because I think a lot of selling any game has to do with like what's the fantasy you're selling. And I think with this one, a lot of the big fantasy you're selling is like these huge mechs that stomp around and, are like really cool and blow things up. And you have a lot of that in Warhammer 4. I think this one sort of didn't really deliver the mech fantasy super well. Like a lot of, I downloaded it actually too, just before the podcast, and I played it like a tiny bit, but not enough to really comment on it. But I'd watched a bunch of videos and I read reviews because I was thinking about buying it a while ago. But it's like like the lethality of some of these units isn't that high. Like you'll have, like when the guys shoot at each other, they kind of aren't like, even just the normal riflemen, like it feels like they're missing a ton. And then like when you get like this machine gun mech and it's shooting like it's got a machine gun, it should be like the like Company of Heroes. You have a turret, like a machine gun thing, and it's just tearing apart like enemy infantry. Except this guy just shoots at him and like nothing happens. It's like you have this.
I think it's a gameplay design a choice though, because in an RTS game, your attention is a resource, right? And in this specific style of RTS, you are very much going to be sending units out to capture points, and if lethality is high, your units are going to die before you can really react to what's happening, and I don't think that's fun.
Yeah.
Now, it thematically it worked with Warhammer because you've got Space Marines tanking, bolter fire, and the Space Marines don't care, right? Or neither do the Orcs. They're just big and armored guys, right? But I think in World War II, it's a harder sell because you've got these infantrymen standing there shooting one another, and their health bars going down. So that it kind of, that's the fantasy not working. But Company of Heroes did really, really well. This is really Company of Heroes mixed with Warhammer. It's basically, it's a diesel punk version of, but it's Warhammer mixed with Company of Heroes. It's World War II and giant robots. And so I think that Lucy's quite right. It feels a bit weird when you've got, the flamethrowers are pretty killy. But and I think the way that they probably explain it off is that you got your hit bar, your infantrymen with hit bars going down, but they are missing as well. I think that's probably part of it. Like they're supposed to be shooting at each other from out of cover and that kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, having actually played it, I might be able to explain some of this. So, with your units like your riflemen, yes, they can miss. If you have a unit that's moving fast enough, it's just shooting. It's shooting at a location where it thinks where the unit is supposed to be. So if the unit's fast enough, you can miss. Now with your machine guns there, I'm not sure if your units are in cover or not, but with the cover system, you could have You could have some drawn out battles because they're behind cover. Like depending on it was like Company of Heroes. Like you could put units behind cover and you'd have like a yellow or a green indicator depending on how much cover they're in. So if they're in full cover, they're going to be quite hard to hit. So you're going to get units missing. Now with the damage to mechs. I can't remember if it happens with all of them, but I know at least with the lower level ones, the trick with the mechs is to hit them in the rear. Their rear armor is weaker than their front. So the balance thing was like get behind them with like an anti-tank unit, say an anti-tank infantry unit in a building or something, hit them in the rear arc, and then you'll take them out quite quickly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like you're trying to balance these massive fuck off mechs against like, regular infantry dudes. And that was how they tried to make it like, you had to play a little bit asymmetrical.
That's fun, isn't it? Yeah, I think anything that makes you use kind of believable tactics, I think, is going to be a success in that respect.
Yeah, well, it's like in real life, right? Like if you're sending in a tank, you're not just going to send a tank and you need infantry support, or it's going to get wrecked really quick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they captured that? Like you need infantry support with the mechs?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah, because. If you send a mech in on itself by itself, they're pretty easy to counter, right? Like any mech is going to get basically countered by your anti-armor. So if you're going to do is send in a whole bunch of mechs, the enemy's going to have like emplacements, and they're going to have anti-tank infantry, and they're going to have their own mechs. They have like the Lauka. I don't know how you say it, but there's a thing with like this harpoon, and it's like a mech hunter. So there's some pretty hard counters to mechs. So if you send in just mechs, then you're going to get shredded. So you really want to go more of a combined arms approach.
Well, that's closer to the Company of Heroes than it is to Dawn of War, because in Dawn of War, I don't think you had rear armor and all that kind of thing. I think if you were shooting at a dreadnought, it didn't really matter whether you were shooting at it from the front or the back. They really were big hit point sponges in that respect.
But I want to go back to something you said, Battlemode, where if you have it like high lethality, then it's kind of annoying because you look away and then all of a sudden your unit's dead before you even like heard the alarm or whatever. But I do think some of that, because I think like on one hand you're trying to make like a game, like chess or something, right? Like you're trying to make something that feels fair and like the actual gameplay is fun. On the other hand, you're like trying to sell a fantasy. And so like those two can be in conflict. And I think like the more, so like imagine you made human units twice as cheap, but so you can have twice as many of them.
Yeah.
But then you made them like easier to kill. Like just by doing that, you like increase the lethality and feel of the big mechs. You know, and it really feels like they're stomping around killing humans. So, and I don't know, I haven't really played it. I'll probably play it more after this to like get a sense, but
you don't get many units, so that would, whether that's a performance thing,
right,
or whether it might be an AI thing as well, because the more units you've got, the more difficult it is to do a competent game AI as well. So there are trade-offs on there, I guess. But I agree with you in principle. I think I'd like that if the humans were squishier, they didn't tank so much damage, but you had more of them. I think that's possible to do now. I mean, I think it's possible to do now.
So it's kind of interesting. We can kind of shift a bit to Dawn of War 4 too, because if we've looked at I think here towards the end, they actually have the in-game stuff. There's some really cool things that they've done that I've never seen done before in Dawn of War 4. So like one of the things is they have like melee sync animations. So the way this worked in other like Total War type things, like this happened in like in
Warhammer,
and Warhammer Total War, was when you would do like a sync kill, like once you killed a unit, it would like do a cool animation, and these were kind of shitty in a way. Like people liked them because they looked cool, but they were kind of shitty. This also I think existed in maybe Dawn of War 1. But
yes, it did. Yes, it did. Because do you remember we were watching it, and do you remember with the dreadnought pulls off the orc's head and it spins it spins the power glove around, and you see this kind of cascading blood. I remember, yeah.
Yeah. But it kind of sucks in a way. Like, it's very cool looking, and it builds like it's a huge amount of flavor, and it's super cool. But it's like the unit, when you go into a sync kill, I think it becomes like invulnerable for a while.
Yeah, the guys iframes.
Yeah, and so it kind of like, it can actually suck doing a sync kill, because it's like the battle's paused for your most important unit while he's sitting there like showing off.
Yeah, it's like that thing in
shoot something else.
It's like that thing in modern fighting games, like where the latest Tekken games, where you're in a real fraught battle, right? And you're concentrating, you're in flow, and then suddenly like one of these long animation comes up because someone pulls off some flashy move, and you got to sit there and watch for like 5-6 seconds as some animation you've seen like 30,000 times before like plays out. It's just, I hate that in those games, and it's I get the same vibe.
But then in Total War, a lot of the types of moves they do are like, they're not just sync kills. Like, it's not just a show off when you've killed something. It's actually like a special move that a guy will have, and it might involve a kill, or like maybe he grabs somebody and like throws them across the battlefield or something. But those, so your units have stats. Like, I have an attack of 500. But like, how those moves actually work determine a huge part of like the effectiveness of a unit. Like, somebody might have like a really powerful like area of effect, like, sync animation thing, and it like makes that hero super good. Yeah. And then another one might have like a shitty one that's really slow, and it like makes them worse, but you can't read any of that from the stats. It's like weird, opaque kind of game mechanics.
Because
but what they've done, go ahead.
Sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, so what they've done here in Dawn of War 4, though, I don't know how we'll see if we can see some of the melee stuff. Okay, yeah, so like this. Okay, this was a perfect example. So like, look at this. This is not a cinematic. I think this is the actual game footage.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, but look what happens. So there's an orc here, and this dreadnought is going to smash him into the ground like this. So this is not like the super long like pause for 5 seconds and do like a sync kill animation. This is this guy with a custom animation to hit an orc or an orc-sized unit, and then the orc has like the perfectly corresponding get hit animation.
Yeah.
So they've got this for every single melee permutation between all the units. So they have this like, yeah. They have this dynamic melee animation thing that they're doing where I don't know, it sounds like magic to me, but they have it as a way where
I was just watching that animation, and if you watch it again, you'll see that it's not super synced up. It's not like the sync kills in Warhammer Total War, where it was, you like, if you watch it again, you'll see it's kind of like a little bit loose. So he's not actually holding it that well. I don't know if you see that. Watch. See what I mean? You can see it. So I think it's a bit of sleight of hand there, but that's great because you're not. I mean, unless you're zooming in and being really, really careful to look at what's going on.
Yeah,
that's going to look great at a distance, right? So that's the way to do it. Is just to make everything a little bit. It doesn't have to be super accurate in terms of whether it's really touching the unit or not, as long as it's close enough to show the illusion.
Yeah, well, this is early too. They may polish that up a bit later on.
Yeah. It looks cool. So it looks so. I heard. I watched a couple of videos on this, and I'll be honest with you. I was watching it while I was doing other things, so I wasn't paying very close attention. But my key point that I took away from watching, I think it was Milk and Cookies Total War or someone like that. He was saying that it felt like a mix between Dawn of War 1, Dawn of War 2, and the best bits of Dawn of War 3. And he said, I know that some people aren't going to want to hear that it's like Dawn of War 3, but he said, actually, Dawn of War 3 did have some interesting ideas. And so, if you take the best elements of all those three games, this is kind of what this one looks like. He then went on to, to show, to say, well, I'm actually cautious about this because of this, and this as well. So he wasn't glowing, but I think it was an interesting observation. Did you guys have any thoughts on that? Does it feel like those old games to you?
Well, I mean, I think it pretty obviously looks much more like Dawn of War 1. You know, you can see important things in here, like, so they're keeping requisition points. They've got so there's lots of units, but importantly, you see base building, right? Yeah. So that's of course something that wasn't terribly, like, it existed in 3, but not really meaningfully. And it's cool, like you can see this orc building getting deployed here, and it's like somebody casts it and then it like falls from the sky, so that's super cool. That's cool. I think some of the other things it took from 3 were like, I think it was in some of the other clips they had, but like some of these units, like especially these orc units, like they're like stomping around creating huge dust clouds and stuff. They kind of looked like some of the cool orc vibes they had in like the Dawn of War 3 trailer, but I think it's mostly Dawn of War 1.
That's what it's looking like to me too. But it looks like it's got, like, you know, a lot of the RPG stuff from Dawn of War 2 as well, you know, the progression system.
Yeah, although I think in Iron Harvest they had they have it in Company Heroes as well. They have like the veteran system where the longer your units stay alive. So that's why I'm guessing it's why it's not super high lethality, or none of your units would ever make use of the system. None of your infantry units. Plus, it might just be frustrating. I don't know, but yeah, they had a veterancy system where the longer they stayed alive, they'd level up, and I think they'd get like a bit of extra health and a bit of extra damage. So you wanted to keep them alive, retreat them back to base, heal them up, and send them back out or whatever as much as you could. So, if they've got something like that implemented, that would make sense. That'd be fine.
Yeah, those RPG mechanics can fight against it being like a proper strategy game, though, in a way, because it's like part of it. Like, you shouldn't feel too bad when your stuff dies in a strategy game, or it's not. I agree.
Really I wasn't a big fan of Warcraft 3, believe it or not. I liked it when it came out, but looking back at it, I feel that Warcraft 3 really deviated from the classic RTS thing, and putting, you know, more emphasis on heroes and smaller unit counts and that kind of thing. I know a lot of people love that, and they felt that was a real move forwards for the genre. I felt it was a move back, but then I'm like this with 4X as well. I kind of like games where you've got more stuff to manage, and you're less bothered about each individual thing, like Lucid's saying. You know, I liked the original UFO or XCOM games better than the Firaxis remakes, because they were more highly lethal. You had more troops. When your troops did become, you know, kind of loved troops, it felt worse when they died. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, everything was just higher stakes. Whereas I think when you start putting RPG leveling up mechanics into stuff, it kind of makes everything feel like the hero, and everyone's the main character, and as a result, they feel that. Well, I mean, with the XCOM, it was the trade-off was that towards the end of a campaign, if you lost one of your heroes in XCOM remake, you know, for XCOM, you were kind of done, weren't you? If you lost a couple of heroes a couple of your team in one match, you kind of had to reload it. Whereas in UFO, hopefully you had, you know, if you lost one of your high level heroes, well, there's another guy who will just get promoted pretty quickly to take his rank. It was a very clever system that it used. So, but yeah,
I don't know if it's really a step forward. It's just more like a side step. I don't know. It's just something. I wouldn't say whether it's better or worse. It's just a different way to design it.
The RPG mechanics, or the
RPG mechanics. Sorry, it's just a different style. I think I like both. I don't know if there's really that many being made in the old style anymore, but we know that King Art can do these fairly well, and I think with the units, veterancy systems not the be all end all. Like they're a little more powerful, but they're not godlike. They something like, I can't remember, Warcraft 3, maybe they'd be like that, but in something like Iron Harvest, they're definitely not. Like if you counter them with something, they'll still die very quickly. So it was pretty well balanced, I think. Like they'd be a little more powerful than your standard unit of that same type, but you could still take them out quite quickly.
Yeah, I think you can do it, and I think it's fun. Like, people like progression. That's like one of the things I think people, but probably guys especially, like in video games, is like really strong progression mechanics. And like so many times, I think when you look at different games that have more progression mechanics where you scale harder tend to do better. Like people just really like it. You know, it's like Cookie Clicker. If you've ever played, you ever play Cookie Clicker?
No,
I've never heard of that.
No.
No.
Oh my god. It's actually kind of fun here. I'll pull it up here because it's. Oh, first, let me show you on SteamDB. This is a game where they've really they've streamlined the progression mechanics, so they've gotten rid of everything that's not cookie clicking, or that's not progression. And you see a ton of people play it, like way more than like Dominions or something. And all you do in it is how do I go watch?
Well, that's
on
what
Steam?
clicker games are, aren't they? They are just, they are progression mechanics. I mean, I can't remember. Was Mark talking about Vampire Survivors on our podcast? I can't remember now, but that's that is Vampire Survivors is very much he did, didn't he? That's very much a progression mechanic kind of base game. But I think with I know what cookie clicker is, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
The idle games basically. So like, what was it? Idling to defeat the gods. That was a really old one that was really popular for a long time. So those kind of games, they are all about the progression mechanics. So people do like them. You're quite right. It's super popular.
So on one hand, it's like, okay, progression mechanics in a game are good. Like let units level up. I think the problem though is it makes things like very snowbally, because it's like if you lose a fight, now not only do you lose your units, but the other guy gets experience. And these are games that tend to already be snowbally. So I think these are all things that can like be managed, and like people like progression mechanics, but I just think if you're putting it in a game, you have to, and like in a game genre that tends to be very snowbally, it's like, how do you counterbalance that in a way? So,
well, considering an RPG, where RPG mechanics kind of come from, the progression mechanics sort of come from, they're usually single player games, and I think that once you get to a certain point of an RPG, unless you've been playing it for ages and you're challenging yourself, you tend not to, you'll usually save scum, or you'll not literally save scum, but you'll reload if you die, right? So if you lose a character, you probably, unless you're a very hardcore player and you're playing for a challenge, you're probably not going to reload it. So you're probably going to reload it if you lose one of your favorite characters, but you can't do that in a multiplayer game. Yeah, so that's like these RPG systems really throw competitive games out in a big way, and they've got to your game has got to be built very, very heavily around it. Dawn of War 2 I think did that really well. They built that in. They didn't just tack on RPG mechanics to Dawn of War 1 and hope it worked. That's not how it worked. And Dawn of War 2 is a really, really well designed game. So I think that this game obviously has got that pedigree to come from. I don't think we're going to expect the RPG system to be bad. I don't think. I think if they're building it into the core games design, it should be fine. Provided you just have to prepare for it and make sure that it's not just tacked on. Because tacked on game mechanics ruin games faster than anything else.
Yeah, I would say for me, my kind of like summary, I think, for Dawn of War 4 is the thing I'm worried about most are the actual core technical parts of RTS, which they didn't actually completely nail in Iron Harvest. And so it's like things like when you move a mech through infantry, it's like rolling a ball, like a big ball through little balls. And it's like they get pushed out of the way like they're little balls. Like it's one of the things you see in like low end like RTS games a lot is like really bad collision mechanics between friendly units. And it just kind of makes things feel weird. Like they might have fixed it because I know they did a big patch, but like Stormgate had this, that's the name of it, right?
Yeah, there is one called Stormgate.
Yeah.
One by the ex-StarCraft the ex-Blizzard devs, right?
Right. Yeah. So they had like a really kind of like, I don't know, weird push and pull thing for like movement, and then like pathing can be bad, and like how responsive your units are to like. Because if you think this is kind of interesting, because again we're doing like a semi kind of RTS game, like it's an auto battler, but it's auto battling with like a real time strategy thing. Is that when you look at like the really high end, like StarCraft 2 is kind of I think like the best when you look at like mechanically how it's made. Like when you look at the best games for RTS, they really are auto battlers in a way, because when you issue a command, you're saying my intention is for you to do this, and then the game has to interpret what that is. Because it's like you were saying, Sean, like in Iron Harvest, when you say, hey, go here, but you have a big mech clogging it up, the game has to interpret what your intention is, and then you want it to do it. And if it doesn't do it, it's super frustrating. So when you think of it, like in an RTS, you think like, oh, I say go A to B, go A to B. Well, that's not necessarily what you mean. Like, you don't, if everything pathed only directly, then it would get stuck on buildings. It wouldn't go around them, you know? So
I see your point. It's important to get the fundamentals right. That's what always ruins RTS games for me, to be honest. Like, I still can't go back to Dune Spice Wars just because of the terrible pathfinding that I found early on, and I'm sure it's been fixed. Well, maybe. Although I did report it to the developers, and they didn't seem that bothered. So, you know. But like, I found that unplayable because it was like, you know, I click on my units, I expect them to go to a certain place, right? And that's player expectation, but that expectation comes from decades of good RTS games, right, that did that correctly. So I think that, yeah, you're right, the fundamentals are difficult, and getting those fundamentals right will probably sink or swim. You know, the game will sink or swim based on those fundamentals. So
yeah. And people don't really, this is one of the things people don't have much tolerance for. Like, if you tell a unit to do something and it does something different, like, it triggers people so hard. It's a big deal, I think. But,
yeah, I know, speaking of the Spice Wars example, I'm not a huge fan of the pathfinding either, and I think they had similar issues with Northgard. Maybe it's just the Shiro thing, they don't really know how to get that right. But I think it's because they're trying to do, like, it's not really an excuse for them, but they're trying to do a lot more stuff too. It's not just a bog standard RTS. Like, there's a whole, like, metagame thing behind it, and there's diplomacy, and there's all these, like, espionage mechanics and all sorts of other stuff too. So, you know what the solution to the RTS thing in Spice Wars is? Don't use units, just drop a nuke on them. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I heard that's a good way to lose.
It is a good way to lose. I tried that because I didn't look up any guides, and I'm like, I don't know what this will do. And I dropped the nuke on an enemy player, and it was like, you've lost all your standing, and the lands are out, and everybody hates you now, and your game's just over. So yeah, no, it's not a good way to do it, but it means you don't have to move any units around.
Well, if your game meta is being, you know, formed based around flaws in the game, right? I mean, there are different kinds of flaws you can have. Like, so for example, was it? Yeah, I think it was Mark was talking about StarCraft Brood War when a lot of the meta came because of the limitations of that game, in the sense of, you know, was it partly to do with the unit count and that kind of stuff? But yeah, basically the very high level play, the meta will develop around the limitations. But if the meta of your game is developed around the limitation of something simple, like it's got cruddy pathfinding, you know, so I don't really want to have to, you know, build loads of units then, because they're just going to get in one another's way. Instead, I'll just build smaller amounts of other. I think that's really short circuiting your own games design in a big way. But like, I don't know. I think the Dune Spice Wars, I need to go back and play it, because my information on the game's old now. It was the complaints that I had about it were pretty much when it just released. Just for any of those of you who love the game and are really triggered at what I'm saying, I do think it's a really good game. Other than that, I think if the pathfinding hadn't ruined it for me, I think I'd have really liked that, because I think the game's design is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, I was just joking about the nuke thing, but I quite like it as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that the pathfinding is an issue, and it's like, if you're going to have it in there at all, you should have it working properly. But yeah, I mean, the vast majority of the game isn't really played like an RTS, as far as I know, anyway. Like, based on whatever I've played with it, anyway. It's all more about your background stuff. You know, you're launching your espionage operations against other players, and you're manipulating the stock market, and it's very thematically accurate. Like, there's actually not a hell of a lot of direct conflict. If any of you have read like most of the Dune books, there's not much direct conflict. Like, it's all sort of background stuff and politicking.
There's skirmishes. There's a lot of skirmishes, but there's not many really like game settling battles, I think. It doesn't that for me, that playing an RTS game and I win a battle, I want to gain some territory from it, for example. And you might do that in small ways in Dune Spice Wars, but I think that you have to understand the rest of the game systems. It's a very cerebral game. It's like, you know, what do I get for taking this particular territory in the context of the plan that I've got to try to win the game. Whereas in an RTS, generally speaking, if you kill some stuff and you take a requisition, a capture point, or you gain control of a portion of a map, it's a very obvious way to see that you've got something, you've got a reward to the effort that you've put into that particular effort.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the capture point or the resources, one thing that might be kind of interesting to just mention about like the difference between, let's say, StarCraft or Age of Empires And Warhammer is they got rid of like workers. Like you don't really have workers that mine resources. You have the points you control. I was thinking like it's kind of interesting from like a gameplay perspective. It's like it really and these are like pretty hard points, especially once you fortify them. It means there's a lot less like light fuckery. Like so much of StarCraft 2, if you watch multiplayer, is just like fuckery trying to kill the workers.
Yeah, that's an example, by the way, of how when I say sometimes that I feel like modern games are kind of dumbed down in a sense, and people will argue about that because they'll go, well, no, they're more complex than they ever have been. It's like they are, but sometimes when you strip out fundamental things like that, you remove certain nuance from the game. So like with StarCraft, attacking worker economy, or let's use something that Lucid and I know, like Dominions. Yeah, let's say that you took out, this is a well requested thing in the Dominions community, is to remove blood hunting from the blood magic. Now, for those who don't know, you have to send out your expensive mages who are very much wanted in either in battles or in your capital to be doing research. You have to send them out to actually do the blood hunting, to get the blood sacrifices. Now this is time consuming, it's energy consuming. A lot of people don't like it because they feel it's a lot of micromanagement, and it becomes laborious for a lot of people. The problem is that mechanic actually is balanced out by the fact that one, blood magic's incredibly powerful. It's like the most powerful magic in the game, really, once you get it going. The other thing is that whole system leaves the opportunity for enemy players to do fuckery, as Lucid would call it, right? So you leave yourself open in a more dispersed way to have your economy attacked, and an important side of your economy too. So rather than having your mages all in these cozy towers where they can't just be killed instantly, you have to siege a tower for a long time usually to be able to take it down. Blood mages are very, very vulnerable when they're doing their blood hunting. So this is a very clever balancing mechanic. So the knock-on effect of removing that would be dramatic reduction in gameplay. And it's the same with what happened with the workers in StarCraft. Now, it's arguable as to whether you think that babysitting, workers, from like StarCraft, Warcraft, the Command and Conquer games or whatever, Dune 2, whether you think that was a worthy trade-off. I think attacking economy is an important part of warfare. So, but the games have changed, right? And just like Dawn of War 1 moved into Dawn of War 2, the shift of the game moved, the focus of the game moved. But providing that the game still gives you equal strategic and tactical considerations, I think it's probably okay. Then it just depends on the flavor. What flavor do you like? Do you like StarCraft 1 or do you like StarCraft 2? It's like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like a good or a bad thing, getting rid of workers, but I do think it's important. And I think I probably would like it without workers, just because like I don't really play StarCraft too much, but it is a game I enjoy watching a lot, and like
hard work. Hard work.
Like Widowmine drops on worker lines, Baneling drops on worker lines. Medevacs coming in all the time and just dropping. I mean, it's just like, oh god. But I mean, that's part of the game, and it's like I think it's what you said. It's like you need tactical consideration still. So, like, if you get rid of that, then what are people doing? Well, if you have really interesting combat and it's like, okay, well, now it's really about controlling these things on the front line. I mean, the enemy might sneak around and try to get something in the back, but like it's more about like face-on fighting, then you need really good face-on fighting. Like if that's boring, or if there's not like a lot of really interesting tactics there. Because I think one of the problems you can get into in these types of like RTS games is if it, like, okay, we've moved everybody to the front line, so we're going to have these battles for like frontline, requisition points. Then, like, if it's just a head-on-head battle where you're not really expressing yourself through troop movement as much, it's more like a pitched fight. That's where you would lose something. I think the kind of one of the interesting things about the worker stuff is it like makes it where you're moving units around a lot and the battlefield's always shifting. But it is something I definitely noticed playing like Dawn of War 1 is that it's much more like a battle line. Like you have kind of fronts that you fight along much more than like StarCraft or even like Command and Conquer.
Have you tried playing StarCraft recently? Because I went back to play Brood War a little bit a few months ago, and so if you go online and watch any videos on how to get good at StarCraft, because I played the hell out of that game when I was younger, right? But I didn't really play it in multiplayer. I was, when StarCraft came out, I was like 18 or 19, 18, I think. I was at college.
Yeah.
Sorry, what you guys would call high school, I guess. I was like 17 or something. And so I was just playing the campaigns, right? And but I went back to look at how to play StarCraft, and the way you play StarCraft, if you want to get really good at it, to play competitively, is you have to spend hours. First of all you're doing is workers. Yeah, that's all you do. So you got to get your workers, and you are focusing entirely on your workers. And they're like, don't even worry. They say turn the AI off. Play the game just on your own. Don't worry about the enemy AI. Don't worry about building troops. You are just going to practice workers. Yeah. So you got to click. This is not the kind of gameplay that modern gamers want, unless you're really, really hardcore. No. It's not like attention as a resource is very, very high in the original StarCraft, in Brood War. And in in games like Dawn of War, they've really reduced that. They want to shift your attention, not from having to look. Workers fight, workers fight. It's not like that anymore. They want your attention to be on the exciting bit of the game. Okay. Now the like you say, Lucid, the problem is that if the game becomes some kind of trench war where you just got guys sitting in lanes or sitting behind sandbags or shooting at one another, and it's more about the types of units you're using. Well, maneuver isn't so much of a big thing anymore, is it? So you've got to have maneuver being a thing. But if you haven't got some mechanic to be able to exploit, like flanking or the ability there's no economy to attack. Like, kind of, what's the point? So you've got to balance all these things in careful consideration.
Which is kind of the Dawn of War thing. So it's on brand for this series. But it's like I think the question is like, how much maneuver is there going to be? And some of that, like when I've looked at competitive, like Dawn of War 3, like you'd have like somebody arranging a tournament or something. It really was just like people showing up and everybody shooting and being like, oh, this person has the advantage, and then one person retreats. It wasn't. You didn't have nearly as kind of epic and decisive engagements as you would see in like StarCraft or something, where there was a lot more mobility. There'd be flanking. You just don't get that if you have like trench warfare. So hopefully they figure out a way to make that happen, Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, so Dawn of War Fall, it looks like it's promising. I'm going to say it's promising. I tell you what, if you're an RTS fan, by the way, we're eating reasonably well. At least we've got the promise of a good meal on the horizon. I mean, like the company that I do some stuff for, Stardock, they've just announced Ashes of the Singularity 2, which is going to be, which is
we can pull that up here.
Yeah, the original game was mostly notable for being it was used as a benchmark for new computers because it was. That's
Ashes of the benchmark.
Yeah, Ashes of the benchmark. And but anyway, so Ashes 2 has been announced, and this is my I can't talk about it much, obviously, because I'm massively under NDA. But from what we're seeing here, from what the boss has been talking about on Discord and stuff, is the promise is the game is going to be massive scale. So they want to show huge battles with thousands of units. That's what Ashes 2 is going to be about. That's my understanding of it. I don't know very much about the game myself, I'll be honest. So I'm quite excited for this. I didn't love Ashes of the Singularity 1. I didn't play it a whole lot, but it was a competent RTS that I think was a little bit drowned out by games that came before. So it didn't really do the Supreme Commander thing, it wasn't quite as good as Total Annihilation, but it had its charm, and there are still people who are playing it now. But yeah, Ashes 2. By the way, I love this. The guy at Stardock who did this knocked it out of the park, man. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, that looks sick. Is that their engine? Like, or is that in game or is that cinematic?
I don't know. Sorry, I can't answer that. Sorry.
Another thing that's sick?
It looks great though, doesn't it? Look at that.
This looks awesome.
I'm going to blow our own trumpet. One thing I will say about Stardock is, for a relatively small company, they got some fucking great talent there, man. And it's like, particularly the dude who does stuff like this. He's really, really good, man. I like I said, I wasn't that bothered about Ashes 1, but I'm excited for this one now because that made it look really good.
Yeah, I played Ashes 1 for a while. I think I had the same sort of issues. It was fine. And it sort of felt like it was trying to be Supreme Commander, but I think one of the things I didn't really like with it that much was it was very, very slow. Like all of the units were slow and they took forever to get anywhere. And which slow pace doesn't necessarily bother me, but then it's like they're so slow that you're just doing a lot of sitting around, not really doing anything. I remember that being why I didn't really get on with it for one, and then the rest of it I actually can't remember most of it that well. But like it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't really stick with it. So yeah, no, 2 looks cool though from the little I've seen of it.
I mean, even look, Ashes 1, they did try to make a big effort to make it huge scale battles. That's what they always wanted. But like, you'll notice that all the units are floating, like they're all the hover units, and that's just because that's just the only way that I think that they could probably do it without trashing the system completely. Like if they had everything with legs, I don't think that was going to be very easy to do. It was. I also suspect it was likely to do with the pathfinding as well. Just hovering units. It looks better.
That's what I was saying. Like you get the Iron Harvest. It's like the little humans get like pushed out of the way. It's like what do you call it? Bumper cars in a way, but with like little spheres. And it really is immersion breaking. And it's like, oh well, if it's a hover thing, that like it makes sense. Like hover things would get pushed out of the way, you know?
And I do suspect if that was part of the reason they did that. I do wonder.
Yeah. But it's like if you don't have it, it's actually, these are like really, really hard technical problems to solve. The thing I like about Dawn of War 4 is that like how technically complicated the animation stuff is they're doing. It makes me hopeful they can solve the other technically complicated problems around like pathfinding and pushing and stuff.
You know what's funny though? I know we were making the whole joke about the benchmark memes. I actually remember there was this massive article and there was a video that got made about Ashes of the Singularity, and it was this guy or some tech guy, and he was talking about it was when DX12 first came out, and he was talking about you could run, I think it was an AMD Vega GPU with an NVIDIA 1080 Ti or something, and he'd figured out you could run them in parallel in the same PC. It was something to do with the way that the Vega GPU was designed or something. And then all he was doing was running Ashes of the Singularity to get benchmarks for these two like different brands of GPUs running in tandem.
But that's sold. By the way, that's not to be. Don't sneer at that too much. That sold a lot of copies of Ashes of the Singularity. You know, it sold really well because of that.
Like whatever. It's not bad publicity. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's a meme, but it's not in a bad way. You know, it was actually really useful for something.
I mean, it looks great. This is an old game. Look how good it looks.
Yeah. Let's see how much it sold. Let's see.
I don't think it sold huge amounts. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
All-time peak was 4,000 players. That's not many. But this probably released before Steam, so this probably isn't actually catching the... Was this released first on Steam?
No, it's 2016. So yeah, it was... I wonder, but was Stardock...
It might not have been released on Steam, yeah.
They've had a lot of really deep sales over the years too, so it's probably sold quite a bit off the back of that as well.
This is after Stardock sold Impulse, though, so I'm assuming that this must have been a Steam release. I don't remember it. I'll be honest, I don't really remember this one.
Yeah, well, the owner estimations are pretty different. Somewhere between 200K and 3 million. I'm sure somebody at your company knows, but I mean, 3 million would be huge. I mean, 300K is not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, Oxide. It was this Oxide, wasn't it? Yeah. So Oxide Games produced it, and Stardock published it, and Oxide produced it. Oxide were new at the time, so was this their first game? I want to say yes.
They're still supporting this too. They did a patch, I think it was like early this year, bumping it up to a 64-bit engine or something. Like there was some kind of massive performance uplift change or something that they did. Yeah, that was just, I think it was this year.
Stardock do that. They're still updating Fallen Enchantress, which is like from 2012 or something. Like they will periodically put out releases, to like little updates and stuff.
Yeah. So no, we're doing pretty well. And then what was it? Tempest Rising came out a while ago. Yeah. They're getting updates. I was sort of waiting for that. I wanted to wait for a few patches, and I think now's probably the time to jump in. I don't know. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but it's definitely on the list. So that's from Slipgate Ironworks. They were the ones that I think they got shafted a bit in that whole like Saber Embracer Group split thing, and it's something about it that put the game back quite a bit for release. But yeah, no, it's from the little I've played of it, it's leaning heavily into that old school Command and Conquer kind of vibe. You know, it's got the big over the top trailer, big over the top. It's not FMV cutscenes, but like very bombastic and loud and establishing battlefield control and all that kind of thing. Like it was cool. I started playing it and I was like, oh my god, this is hitting me right in the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a cool one.
It's got pretty good
I know
reviews.
nothing about this one, guys. I'll be honest. I don't know anything about this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I've watched it, but I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into that. Maybe even tonight. I might jump into it and have a look at it because I've been waiting, but I think it's about time to do it. Yeah. Speaking of, there was that other stuff from Gamescom. We had, what was it? There was that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Or was it MGS3 was from Gamescom, Ben?
Yes. So this is an interesting one because both Vampire the Masquerade 1 and Metal Gear Solid 3, the original on the PlayStation 2, both came out at the same time, and they were competing actually in terms of sales. Apparently, well, at least according to Wikipedia, they were. And that's one of the reasons why Vampire the Masquerade did not do very well. It undersold in a big way. But it became a bit of and it was also buggy as shit as well. But it became a bit of a cult classic in the RPG community. Now, I don't want to say too much about this game because I haven't played it. It's one of those games where it's so iconic and such a cult classic that I've watched a bunch of videos on it, but I never played it myself. Okay, so I don't want to make any claims about that game. But there's a sequel, and it's been in development hell, I want to say, since 2012. Sean?
Something like that, yeah. It's a long time anyway, and it's gone through, I think, 2 or 3 developers now, at least 2 developers to get it finished.
But it's finally got a release date, I believe, which is late October sometime. I want to say 24th, but I might be wrong there. So it's relatively soon. And so I understand that there's been some drama surrounding this game, even in recent times, Sean.
Yeah, so the original developer...
If this is how the game starts off, this guy's like walking in a... Look at the start of this trailer. He's like, oh, I wonder what's in here. He's like, oh, there's a dead person. That's not good. And then it like flashes forward. Like, what if that was you? That's like your main character. This is how you become a vampire.
Yeah.
Just opening some chest.
Yeah, a bit of shock factor. Yeah.
You got caught by the mimic.
Yeah. Well, they had, was it White Wolf, I think was the studio that was working on it. And then... it was something about...
They own it, don't you?
No, Paradox bought the rights to it, I think. Maybe. I'm trying to just remember part of this because I did look it up and now I can't remember properly. But yeah, I think it was like Paradox got the rights to it and they had White Wolf working on it, and then White Wolf either got fired or they quit or something working on it.
Oh, White Wolf. And then, I think White Wolf owned the RPG system that it's based on. Because we talked to Andrew Greenberg, he was one of the developers. Do you remember that interview we did with Emperor of the Fading Suns? He was one of the original developers on the RPG of Vampire the Masquerade, and was it Werewolf? It was one of those anyway. But there's an RPG system. You got Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, the something or other, and one of the other ones, and they're all kind of like linked in the same world. But so it's very much based on a pen and paper RPG.
Yeah, well, whatever happened there, I don't know if Paradox got the rights or like pull this game off them or something. But so it's being published by Paradox now anyway. And the original developer, whatever happened, whether they got fired or whatever, they're not working on it anymore. And then they gave it to a different developer called the Chinese Room, and they've essentially, I don't know if they rebuilt the game or what, but they were working on it for the past like 2 or 3 years or something. And now they're launching the game, and everyone's like, hey, finally, we had a release date. And then they went and locked 2 of the playable clans behind a paywall. So apparently they're 2 of the more popular ones from the tabletop RPG and from the original game.
So that's Paradox, man. That's what they do. It's just,
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what the names were.
So it was Hardsuit Labs. I'm looking it up now.
Oh, okay.
So
so White Wolf owned World of Darkness. That's White Wolf owned World of Darkness, the original kind of like setting. I think that's their thing. And then
I'll read from the wiki so we can update people.
Right.
Don't think I'm smart. I'm actually reading from the wiki. Shortly after Paradox acquisition of White Wolf, Seattle-based developer Hardsuit Labs creative director Kai Chun-Li convinced co-founder Andy Kipling to pitch a Bloodline sequel to Paradox, while Clooney, I guess that's how you say it, I'm probably mispronouncing some of these names, made contact with Bloodline's writer Brian Mitsoda. A meeting was arranged soon after Mitsoda joined the sequel as narrative lead, bringing Kara Elson as senior writer. Going down a bit. Bloodlines 2 was inspired by Seattle's identity crisis, caught between its cultural past and a corporate-driven future. In February 2021, Paradox announced that Hardsuit Labs would no longer be working on the game, and that Paradox was collaborating with another developer to finish the project. Hardsuit Labs made their narrative team redundant shortly afterwards.
We could read between the lines and see what happened there. They made the game in, let's call it the classic style that was storytelling in 2020. And when people started pushing back against that style, against that cultural style, let's say, they sacked them all because they realized it was going to flop, like all the other games that come out in that style flop. I think that's my take.
Well, I'm just looking at a quick Google thing. Hardsuit Labs, obviously I got the name completely wrong, but yeah, they started working on it in 2019. And then, so what, they were canned in 2021. So they had 2 years to work on it. And then they sacked them and gave it to the Chinese room. So, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a hell of a lot of time.
No.
Yeah. So it looks like they developed it for like 5 years, and then Paradox played it, and then they're like, this fucking sucks. And then they canned them and got different people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it sounds like a Paradox thing to do. It wouldn't be the first studio that
does
that.
Smart, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's the right move, but it's, shitty when it happens.
Think about the amount of money that must have been spent on this game.
So the original was developed by Troika, and for those who don't know, one of the guys who founded Troika, Tim, I forget what his last name. He's got a YouTube channel. I've watched probably half his videos.
Tim Kaine, the Fallout guy?
1 second. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay, there you go.
What else did Troika do? Sorry, because my understanding is this Vampire the Masquerade killed Troika, didn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine. Yeah. No, he did. Oh God, what was the fantasy one? With like the racist gnomes and stuff, and the half orcs who were stupid. What is this thing? Ars Magica, I think, was that it?
Yeah. Arcanum.
Ars Technica, maybe.
No, that's
Arcanum
was
of
a gaming
a
journal
outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, back on the actual controversy thing. So there's 2 clans, the Toreador and the La Sombra. Apparently they're both very popular clans in the tabletop RPG and in the original game, and they've both been paywalled. To buy them, you have to pay whatever your equivalent of 130 Australian dollars is at the moment, because, well, there's a thing showing the price of the DLC originally. It says it's $22 to get the DLC separately, but I can't see it on their Steam page, so I can't verify that. But it's saying to get those 2 clans, you have to buy the top version of it, which is whatever your equivalent of 100.
One thing I've learned about Steam, from working for a developer is sometimes if you are the way that your DLC is priced, if you're especially if you're packing it with a game, often is not accurate. Okay, there's some weird rules and some weird glitches and kind of foibles with Steam. So, for example, one of Stardock's game, I can't remember exactly what it might have been Sins 2, but one of the DLCs was showing as like some insane amount of money, and we were getting complaints like, how can you charge $120 for? And it was like, no, it's just Steam not doing it properly, because actually the DLC is nothing like that. That's not how much it's going to be, but it has to show as that for some weird technical reason. So just be a little bit careful about the DLC prices, because
the article I'm reading says that the premium edition is, the article's saying it's $90, which roughly stacks up to what that is. So I'd say it's probably right.
God,
which is still a lot. Like, it's basically, so your regular version is it's a little under, I think it's like 55 or 60 USD or something. No, 60 USD. There you go, Liz. Yeah, so your base version's 60, and then to get the premium edition that has the 2 clans is $90. So,
but where do they
and
tell
then
you? How are you supposed to decide what you're going to get if you don't know what it like? It doesn't say.
there's a blurb. If you go back up a little bit, and then no, down to where it shows starts to show just below the recent events. There's a drop down for read more.
Yeah,
Down a little bit. See where it's got like premium edition and all that. There's a drop down for read more just below it. Yes, it tells you what's in it. Yeah, so those 2 clans, they're paywalled. And so everyone's like really pissed about it because it's basically just like fucking Paradox doing this again. And then the devs,
the companies, they're going to get voted out of the market. Day one DLC, I think. I mean, this would be an interesting like episode for us to do, is just on DLC. Like, day one DLC, who's done it and does it work? I want to know, because people fucking love putting this in games. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy because it's like some games get away with it. Like Civilization sucks and then they fix it through all the DLCs.
Just say what it is.
In the past.
In short, I can give you a quick summary of what I think this is. Basically, games are more expensive to develop than $60 now, I'm afraid. So what happens is, you in order to keep your massive development studio going, you can't just say, okay, look, in order for us to make our money back, we need to sell this for $80 or $90. Yeah. So, I mean, in order for us to make a profit, we need to make it. So they sell it at the lower price for the base game and immediately plan DLC, because that's the only way that they can keep this, if they want to keep a team working on the game, that's how they have to, they've got to pay for it. So the game, I'm afraid games cost more than $60 now. Think about this. I mean, back in the day,
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do day. I mean, I may be wrong. I may be totally fucking wrong. It may be the best business idea these guys have ever had, but I kind of don't think so. I feel like day one DLC, which
it's unpopular. It's so unpopular.
I feel like if you're going to do it, just make the game more expensive. Don't paywall stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to piss people off.
Yeah, and it's like, but the thing is, if you're going to make your game more expensive too, you make damn sure that it's going to be good. Because it's like, if I don't have a problem with people wanting to charge more for a game, but look at like Civ 7, right? They charge some insane price. I bought that very briefly to try it out like a demo for under the 2-hour mark. It was, I think the advanced access version was like 160 Australian dollars. Like, it's ridiculous. It was something
what's that in USD? Is about 100.
Is something like that? Yeah, it was about 100 USD.
A lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, well, if this was the best, if this was a really, really good 4X and it came out and it was like ready to go, feature complete, well, not feature complete, but like really solid, then you're like, kind of, maybe, like your budget and all that is kind of thinking, like, I get that everything's getting more expensive, but if I start playing your $100 USD game and it sucks and it's missing features and it's just not there, then no, forget it. Like, if you're going to start charging more for something, you need to maintain the quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in this case, it may be very good. Like, from what I've heard about it and seen of it, it does actually look quite good. But yeah, when you start looking,
if the game's good, yeah, and then they can show, look, here's the quality of the game, here's how much choice you get. Like, because that was the big thing about Vampire the Masquerade, I think. It was the fact that it was a short game, but there was a lot of freedom and a lot of different story paths, and it was very replayable because you could play it through different, times. If that replayability is in there, like, because Cyberpunk kind of like was a bit like this. It was expensive when it came out and it was buggy as fuck. But actually, Cyberpunk's a relatively well-respected game now because actually the CD Projekt Red did fix it, right? Oh, it took them years, but they fixed it. If this is good and if it's got the same replayability as the original game without having to mod the shit out of it like you did, to fix all the bugs, then maybe it'll be worth it. But at the moment, with the way that gamers are currently identifying the climate of DLC policies and stuff, it doesn't look good. Do you know what I mean? Well, and we've all been burned. So I think if you've been burned, then it's asking a lot from the community to say, hey, okay, well, these 2 new clans are going to add so much extra content that it's going to be what was it, $40 more or whatever?
22. Yeah.
22. Okay, well, I don't know then.
Well,
maybe.
I don't know. Like, they're two that people sort of expected to be in the base game. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, they should be in the
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the first time Paradox have done this either. Like, look at Lamplighters League with Harebrained Schemes. Like, they paywalled one of the playable characters from that game, and it wasn't even like a super popular game or whatever. But yeah, because there was that whole thing where they royally shafted Harebrained Schemes. I don't know if they just what was going on behind the scenes there, but they pushed it out the gate. It wasn't ready. They paywalled a character, and then they fired Harebrained Schemes, and the game got abandoned basically where it was. And then they did the same thing with Empire of Sin with Ramiro Games. Like, they had,
they're both bad games though. Empire of the Sin wasn't a good game. I don't think Brenda Romero makes good games, man.
Well, it wasn't just that. It's not just. Well, see, I haven't even played it. I've got it. I've never played it, but I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about their monetization, because they brought it out and they had three. I think it was 3 DLCs planned, and the third one they never actually made. Like, people paid for the edition of the game that had that DLC, and it's only recently because Ramiro Games, they fucked off to Microsoft or whatever, and then Microsoft fired them, and now there's another team that's been brought in, and it's only now that they're actually starting to work on this DLC, but there were no plans to finish it until this year. Like, there's lots of, I'm sure there's lots of other stuff going on in the background, but the more this keeps happening, you go, oh, there's a track record of, like, all of these games keep having all these ridiculous monetization problems under Paradox.
Yes, and like I say, so people have been burned by Paradox before. They've been burned by the market before, in the sense that it's asking a lot of money. Let's switch quickly to Metal Gear Solid 3, which is, again, it's kind of a contemporary of the original Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, but it's been remastered recently, and so they've created this Unreal Engine version of the game. As you can see, it looks very, very nice. It's released now. Metal Gear Solid 3 is the one that I never finished. I don't know why. I think I was having a bit of a break from gaming when that one came out. So I didn't get that far into it, but I could see that it was a good game. Apparently it's a beloved game. It's got one of the best, apparently it's got the best story out of all of them. I don't know if that's quite true, but that's what I've heard. It's meant to be amazing. A superb game. But the remake is very expensive. It's 70 British pounds. So that's, and I think it's $70 in the US. And I was saying to Lucid before we started, like, God, are we really translating £1 to $1 now? Like, I feel horrible. But yeah, like, it's very, very expensive. And apparently the performance is really bad, which is exactly what we expect from Unreal Engine 5 now. It's just become the meme. If you make a game in Unreal Engine 5, it's going to have crappy performance. And there have been varying reports on the game AI. Some people are saying it's pretty much the same game as the original, so the AI hasn't changed. And I think some critics are interpreting that as, oh, the game AI is not very good, but they don't realize that it's just a straight port of the old game. Look at it; it looks great. I mean, all the cutscenes and all that. They brought back David Hayter, the original voice of Solid Snake, which is a big thing if you know anything about the series, because he famously was passed over for what's his name, Kenneth Branagh, is it? I think he was passed over for Kenneth Branagh. No, Kiefer Sutherland. He was passed over for Kiefer Sutherland in Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. But if you understand the story of Metal Gear Solid 5 and how it's all about kind of like substitutes and fakes and shit, so the intro tune to that game is "The Man Who Sold the World" by David Bowie, but it's another version of it's not actually the Bowie version, and that is intrinsically tied into the plot. And if you know anything about Metal Gear Solid 5, you'll understand what I mean. So the fact that they didn't use David Hayter was a deliberate choice. It wasn't to fuck David Hayter over, it was because it was part of the story. But anyway, very esoteric Hideo Kojima stuff. But this game anyway, it looks like something I will not pay any money for. I can quite easily just play the PlayStation 3 version, whether emulated or on a real hardware, and I don't feel like paying £80 for a slow, badly performing game, to be honest. Maybe if it comes out on, in a sale, I might get it, but I don't know. I think this ties in with what we were saying with Vampire as well. Game prices are going up finally. And they're not only going up, but we're also keeping this dodgy DLC policy that's also designed to make more money. So,
yeah, that's the thing. They're doing both. Well, look at Civ. They had the high launch price, and then they also had day one DLC. I think there was like I can't remember what it was now. I think there was a Civilization that was paywalled or something like that. So that's the thing, is they're doing all of it still. Like the prices are going up, but they're still doing all of the monetization, your battle passes, your whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is expensive. I didn't actually play the original. I feel like I should have, but yeah, I didn't play that. But yeah, it's $116 for a remake. Oh, Unreal 5. I will say there is one studio that I know of that can actually make really good Unreal 5 games that don't run like shit, and that's Embark Studio. They did the finals, and they're doing Arc Raiders, extraction shooter. Okay. But yeah, they're basically the only studio I know of that can make a game in Unreal 5 and actually have it run well. So there's an example. It's just only one example.
Okay. Arc Raiders, so cool.
Yeah, that looks sick. It's wasn't it October that's coming out sometime? I don't know.
Wait, is this the one I'm thinking
October 30th. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the one. These huge fucking spider mechs.
Yeah,
like watching people kill these things, it was so cool. That's what I think about cool. like delivering a fantasy. Let me see if they have it in here. I mean, I don't think the trailer even did it justice. But
guys, can you clear something up for me? I feel very, very embarrassed to ask this question, but what exactly defines an extraction shooter?
Okay.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Well, an extraction shooter, you basically are trying to get loot, but you only get to keep it for like your essential like meta progression or like gear you're taking if you can get out. So it's like there's a risk reward thing. So you like want to get stuff and kill people and take their gear, but then you also want to like escape, because if you die, you don't get to keep most of your shit. Usually you get like one safe item you get to take with you. So you're kind of, it's basically a way, it's sort of like gambling. Like it's like betting on a sports game in a way. Like there's more stakes.
Yeah.
Is this
it's almost like
Borderlands or something? Because I never played Borderlands, so I is that an extraction shooter? Is that kind of thing?
No, that's a looter shooter. So your extraction shooters,
okay.
they're I think they're almost all PvP. There's a couple that are PvE.
Yeah.
But they're not, like the more popular ones are all PvP as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
So the original would have been Escape from Tarkov. Actually, no, before that it would have been survival mode in the Division, but that wasn't a whole game. That was like the precursor to this sort of game. But
see, I just don't play these games, so this is one of the very few genres of game that I don't really play. I do play the occasional boomer shooter, as they're called, but I don't really play FPS games anymore. I'm not really that interested. So it's
I'm not huge on them, but I've been playing the Delta Force one with my brothers because it's got an extraction mode, and we're kind of into it because it does still get a bit sweaty, but it's not full blown like Escape from Tarkov hardcore realism kind of stuff. Because I feel like that's a bit much. But yeah, it's so you basically you'll have a stash and you'll have a base that or some sort of metagame thing that we manage upgrades to, like a base where you can craft stuff or buy stuff or whatever like that, and you'll have your stash, and that's where all your stuff goes that you extract from maps. And you'll go in and they'll usually be PvP. There'll usually be some sort of more semi sort of elements, like if you get shot, you have to have some sort of medical system to heal it up. You're not just going to get health back automatically. Like you'll have to have a first aid kit or a surgical kit or a trauma kit or something. You'll have to actually do some sort of action to heal yourself back up. Otherwise, you'll eventually die. And like Luce was saying, if you die, you'll lose almost everything. They'll have some kind of safe storage that you can carry with you if you have like something really valuable you want to put in it. But if you die, you lose everything else that you have on you, like all your guns, all your armor, everything is gone. So it's very high risk reward. And so I played Escape from Tarkov ages ago, and I got into it, and then I played one match. I had no idea what I was doing. I came in, turned out there was like 10 minutes to extract, and I broke pretty much every bone in my body. And then I extracted. I made it out, and I was like, that was amazing. I never want to do this again. Like that's basically every game. You're like, that's awesome. I don't want to do this. But then you kind of dread going back in a little bit.
Yeah, I was a bit like that with what was that? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I kind of felt like that was with that game as well. Like, it was really fun while you were playing it, but then when you were done, you were just like, holy crap, it's just too intense.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, so I don't really play many of them. I've got a couple. I've got another one. Was it Arena Breakout Infinite that I haven't played yet? But
I'd love to play these with other people. I wouldn't play them on my own, but with friends, I love these kind of games. I think they're amazing. I love first-person shooters as well. I just don't really play them anymore. It's not the kind of thing that I play on my own. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And you can get some funny stuff out of it too. Like I took my brother into the extraction thing of Delta Force the other night, last night, and because he hadn't really played them before, and I was just like, stay with the team in case there's other players, because we're playing at lower levels where it's pretty much like they throw a bunch of bots in, but there might be a player squad, and they're they're the actual threat. The AI players are just there basically as cannon fodder, and like it's a way for other players to hear you. And because it's all very well, it's quite tactical, like you're roaming around, and if you see those guards, the guards are easy to kill, but if you shoot them, you've given away your position, and other players can hear you, and they'll start closing in on your location. So and so I said to him, I was just like, don't wander away from us in case it's a player squad around. He's like, no, it's fine. So everyone just took off and did their own thing. And it was all right for that because we didn't encounter any players. But then in the second one, he wandered off again into a different part of a building that I couldn't figure out how to get into, and got ambushed by a player squad. And 2 of them got killed, and I didn't because I wasn't in the area, and I managed to limp out. But I was the only one that extracted. So it's quite easy to get caught out, and you really got to sort of be switched on to do well in them.
That sounds cool, man. While you've been talking, I've just been keeping my eye on this video that Lucid's showing, and I see exactly what he means. This is super cinematic stuff. Look, it could be a movie, and I think, like you say, it's really selling this. It kind of reminds me of War of the Worlds or something.
Let me see if I can find on YouTube some like a clip of Arc Raiders, because like, let me see here.
Well, Escape from Tarkov brought out a PvE mode too, which I haven't really tried. I've played single player Tarkov, that other version, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit much for me. They've got all this super simulated realism and all the bullet drop, and like, if you hold your arms up for too long, they get tired and you can't hold your gun anymore, and it's just like it's just too much. Or it's something like
stuff like that. I like stuff like that in these games, man.
I used to be the kind of thing that I'd be right into, but now it's just like, I'm a filthy casual now. I just want to get on and sort of just play the game for an hour or whatever, and then go to bed. And it's just like you're getting in and you're sort of fighting the game the whole time. I'm like, ugh.
Look at the graphics on this game, though. They look fucking great.
Yeah, this is Unreal 5.
Yeah. It's crazy too, because IGN did like a hit piece against this, and the guy who did the review recorded
ratioed.
He recorded it in like, I got ratioed hard, but he recorded it in like, I don't know, the screen resolution must have been like 480 by like 810 or something. Like, it was some archaic, horrible record. It was the worst recording, and it's like the graphics looked horrible in it, and you look at the actual game and you're like, what the fuck was he doing? Like, I think it's criminal to put up something with like either such bad encoding or such low resolution you can't even see the game.
Yeah, well, that's IGN.
IGN are just going from strength to strength, aren't they? I mean, their obvious hit pieces are just so shameful, and they don't seem to have any shame. They don't seem to have any, I think they're paid. They're obviously being paid to do what they're doing, and they have no shame. I've written articles and stuff before. I wouldn't write an article for IGN. It would be a stain on my reputation.
Well, they might be going for clicks too. It's like Kotaku and all those guys used to do. They used to write just articles that were obvious, just complete garbage, and they'd pump it out because then everyone would get mad. They'd get the hate clicks. Whereas something like Arc Raiders, because it's actually been received so well, there's all these YouTubers and articles or whatever saying like, there's a couple of little issues, but it's actually like really solid, and it's because every extraction shooter they're not all trying to do exactly the same thing, but they have a lot of things that are similar. And there's a lot of them try to lean into like the gun porn and the realism, and then they forget that they're supposed to be making an actual game. And Arc Raiders seems to have strike that balance pretty well. So it's been getting received really, really well. And then IGN's just like, oh, hey, this is being received well. Let's like put up a really shitty video and make a hit piece. And then everyone gets mad and then they get clicks. So I think that's all they're doing.
Yeah, they could be rage baiting. I don't know. It seemed so poorly made. I don't think it was rage bait. I think it was actually bad. Like,
just look at the graphics in this look fantastic. I mean, this is the thing, right? Because I've mostly just been playing emulated retro games recently. So like old 80s, 90s arcade games. So I think anything modern now looks really impressive to me, but this does look, I mean, look at it. It's, I could watch someone playing this and just see it, watch it like it's a movie,
Well, Embark are ex-DICE devs, so the Battlefield guys. So they made the Finals. So that was like a PvP, like a heist game. but the entire environment was destructible. Like if you want to get to a safe, you don't need to run around a bunch of doorways and into a room. You can just blow a hole in the wall and you can make the safe fall through the floor.
Nice.
Like there's a ridiculous amount of environmental interactivity, and they made that on Unreal 5, and it ran really well because it had to, because it was a competitive, I don't know, full esports, but it was a competitive game, so it had to be able to run on a whole bunch of different devices. And yeah, it was an Unreal 5. They made it work well, and they're doing the same thing with this.
It's interesting. I think developers are starting to see the pushback against Unreal 5, though. For example, I'm sure I read recently that Bandai Namco, are creating their own game engine now for the next Tekken game. Now, I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. Bandai new game engine.
Chad just firing a massive spider robot with a pistol.
Yeah.
Bandai Namco's new game engine is full steam ahead. So they're making a new proprietary game engine because they obviously, I think just Unreal is just causing, is just the name of it now is pissing people off, and if they know it's an Unreal game, they're just going to assume that it's going to be badly produced and or bad performance. And Metal Gear Solid, even though Lucid pointed out that the reviews are pretty good, but the main complaints about the game are the poor performance. It's locked at 60 frames per second. That's kind of enough for me most of the time, but apparently it's dropping as low as 20 frames a second on computers that should be able to handle it. So yeah, that's not good. And especially for a game that you can already get basically online for free if you look. So it's kind of
One thing I was going to comment on earlier for this. So this was released, or at least they had a demo come out basically at the same time as Bungie's Marathon. Bungie, when they released the Marathon trailer, it was like this really like artsy. What's that festival in India where they're like throwing colored powder around? I forget the name of it, but
Holi Festival.
Yeah, but Holi. So yeah, it's kind of like that. It's just like really weird colors, like strong colors all over the place.
Yep.
And people kind of liked that announcement trailer, but then like when the actual game Marathon got released, like nobody played it. It was like kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, the actual game hasn't been released. That was alpha. They played that. They played the alpha. Yeah, and it was just like, it's okay, I guess. But
everybody, it like didn't happen. It's like
Arc Raiders just completely stole its thunder.
Completely stole its thunder, and they're doing the same thing. They're both extraction shooters, and the big difference with Arc Raiders is that it has like much more PvE. Like these bots are not controlled by the player, and they have huge loot. So you like want to kill them, but other players are going to maybe try to kill you while you're killing them. But part of the important thing is these guys create like a huge part of the fantasy. Like you compare this fucking fight with this crab that's shooting like a lava beam at you.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you take out its legs, which they're doing here, like the leg falls and it like slows down and starts fucking up. Like it's this crazy, wild, immersive thing. And you compare it to like Marathon, which is like, oh, we're doing a first-person shooter. It's like just like Escape to Tarkov, but like with the like Holi, like colors and art.
But 8 years too late.
Yeah, this person with the revolver makes me think of that Steve Owen thing. Like, this crocodile's really pissed off. I'm going to poke it with a stick. But that one. So the thing with Marathon, it did actually have a decent amount of PvE stuff, and that was actually one of the criticisms that it got.
Was that there was
so much. That was cool. But yeah, there was so much PvE stuff in Marathon that they were saying you actually don't. I heard about this on another podcast, and there was a guy that played it for quite a while. It was Carnage actually that played it for a while, and he was saying that there was actually so much PvE that it's very rare that you'll actually come into contact with players. So he was like, what's the point then if you're never really playing against other players? And then there was some other issues where it was just like, a lot of stuff that didn't really work that well. And then there was that whole drama that came out about how they'd actually stolen some of the artwork from an independent artist. Yeah, and then like it just completely killed any interest anyone had in the game. Like they even came out with memes, like because this is called Arc Raiders, and they called Marathon Art Raiders because they stole the artwork.
People wouldn't have really cared. It was a huge drama, but nobody honestly would have cared if the game were good. Like if it came out that Arc Raiders had stolen a bunch of stuff or not paid somebody, wouldn't have changed it much. Like because it's like people. I'm not a first-person shooter, but like if I like this seems fucking cool.
They've sold
Like,
it.
if
Well.
I
Look at-
were-
I mean, it looks amazing.
I think they still would have been mad about it. Oh,
Yeah, no, people would have been mad. There would have been drama. But like, would people have bought the game and played the game? No, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Helldivers did well after all that controversy. It's still doing all right. So
yeah, well, I don't know. Like the way Bungie handled that was pretty poor too, because they were just like, they announced it on a rarely used Twitter account. Oh, we're going to be looking into this and doing something about it. And then I don't know if they figured out some kind of deal or what, but like the whole thing was basically done. And they did a live stream talking about how everything went. And then like you can see the guys that were talking about it.
Three guys on there that wanted to like take their own lives. They were
Dude,
like,
they looked like they'd
get
lost
us
their
out
will
of
to
this
live.
corporate hell. Yeah.
The guy's just sitting there. He's just like, just end it. Where's the meteor? I'm done. Yeah. And then I think the
it was
CEO
like the same
actually
thing when
quit.
they got like Kash Patel to do like the Epstein thing, like to report.
Yeah,
it was that same look of like, fuck, I'm gonna have to do this, but I really don't want to.
Yeah. And the CEO actually of Bungie actually quit, and then they're talking about maybe absorbing it into Sony. So that's how well it's going.
Shit. Well, and what a shame as well, because Marathon's such a the original was their first, was that their first game? It was their first big game anyway. I mean, I didn't play it, but Marathon was like legendary back in the day. First Bungie game I played was Myth the Fallen Lords. That was a good game.
Yeah.
Talking about real-time tactics games, that was a good one.
Nice.
But
this is great. I'd
comes down
play
to
this.
Yeah, I think what this comes down to a lot, and this is something that keeps resonating with me, working on a game, but is that fantasies are a huge part of a game. So like, what is the fantasy you're selling, and who wants that fantasy? And like, if you say, what's the fantasy of Marathon? It's like you run around as like a weird colored human shooting people, and you compare that to the fantasy of this, which is like killing huge fucking robots that like are like world-ending size.
Working together as a team to do it. That's what I'm getting from this. It's like you're having people getting shot at with this big laser, and they're ducking out,
right?
And then someone's running around the side and shooting the legs out,
right?
Now that's selling the fantasy of teamwork as well. So this whole idea about selling a fantasy, I agree with you in terms of selling your game, but I think that it's good to focus. I don't think you should focus on that. You've got to have your gameplay in place, right? I think the gameplay for me is more important than selling a fantasy, actually. But I'm a mechanics focused person.
Well,
I think
the gameplay is the fantasy too. Like if you're fantasy in this, like, so humans, we evolved probably hunting megafauna, like hunting. Like there's a reason the woolly mammoths are all extinct. It's because we fucking killed them all. Right.
Yeah. And
you did right, and you didn't kill them as like a single human. You killed them as like a tribe, and you would run them off cliffs, or put tons of spears or arrows in them, or javelins or whatever, until they would fall. Well, and like this happened all over the world. Like we were killing megafauna everywhere. So that's like a primitive human like desire and instinct that like people can connect to, and. Then you're looking at this game, and it's like, this game is selling the megafauna hunting thing, except it's huge laser shooting robots. And part of it is like, okay, have you put in like a fantasy that's going to resonate with people? But the other part is like, do you deliver on that fantasy? So if you play this and you've got these huge fucking robots, and you just get a missile launcher, and it's like, oh, there's a big robot, I shoot my missile launcher at them, and then I hit it twice and it blows up. Like, is that really the megafauna hunting fantasy?
No, yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah, okay. So the gameplay actually makes the fantasy. I get you.
So
we're not just talking about a surface level. We're not talking about a surface level thing where you're kind of like showing screenshots and saying, "Hey, in this game, you get to be the wizard who does the the world taking over." So you actually saying
the fantasy is like, I'm fucking hunting a megafauna that's a huge laser robot, and it's like, does the game feel like that? Right. And this goes all the way back to like what we were talking about with Iron Harvest. You have this huge like dreadnought fucking battle mech that's like pumping machine gun fire, and you should be mowing down these humans, but you're not. Right? Like, what the fuck's happening? Like, it's part of the, and there's gameplay considerations, like if things die too fast, like you were saying, but it's like all those things feed into the fantasy. So
yeah, well, this is like what was another one? There's another extraction shooter called Hunt Showdown, and it's from Crytek, I think. Maybe I think it's Crytek. Well, it uses the Cry engine anyway. So anyway, it's a similar kind of thing to this, but instead of giant robots, it's basically like monsters, pretty much. You're somewhere in like the American South in like the 1800s, and everyone's running a lever action because who doesn't love a lever action? And then, you have this whole thing where you like basically summon this monster on a map, and it'll be like a giant spider or a pig man or something.
What is this?
Hunt Showdown. And so there'll be a bunch of zombies on the map, and you're killing the zombies, and then there'll be some kind of boss, and it'll be a monster of some description. And I don't know if you can take them alone. I did a couple of rounds, but I played with other people. And when you fight them, everyone else knows where you are. So you need to kill whatever the boss is, and then you need to try and get out without getting killed. So it's a similar sort of thing.
This is also an extraction shooter kind of vibe.
Yeah. So Arc Raiders is sort of kind of like that, but everything's obviously a bigger scale for the bosses. But yeah, similar sort of idea, I think. Yeah, that one's really cool. It's been running for ages, and it's quite popular.
You guys are making me want to play these games again. The problem is we have to have friends. You have to have friends to play these kind of games.
Yeah, I find them kind of intimidating.
Play these kind of things.
Yeah, I find them a little intimidating. I have a few friends that I could play with, and I have them installed. I just haven't really got myself to do it yet, apart from the Delta Force thing. But yeah, they're quite intimidating, I think, to get into.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of it is like, you need to know the map inside out, sort of know where to go and where enemies might come from. And often you'll have multiple extraction points, and they'll have different conditions for getting in. Like you might have two of them, you can just walk into them. And then like on the game we were playing Delta Force last night, there's a map called Zero Dam. And to one of the extraction points is like a dam exit thing. And you need to press a button on the map to open up the gate, and then you've got so much time to get through the gate and then extract. Or there's another one we need to pay money to extract, but you have to have money to be able to do it. So a lot of it is like your map knowledge and knowing where everything is and that sort of thing. So there's a fair bit to it, I think.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
extraction
cool.
shooters.
Yeah, if I like first person shooters, I'd probably play some of these, but I've never really got into them. But probably because I just have shitty aim.
That's interesting because they're one of those games that I think once you've learned to play them, you'll always be able to play them. So
yeah,
it's not like RT. I think you hear it, like, for example, if you talk to Daz Tactic about why he doesn't play RTS, he'll be like, "Oh, I ain't got the reflexes for it anymore." And the same with first person shooters. Daz used to play first person shooters quite competitively, I understand. So he does actually quite like those kind of games, but he says, "I don't really have the reflexes for it now." Now, I don't think that's. I think that first-person shooters are a game that once they're like riding a bike. At least for me, I never got particularly great at them. But I think once you've played a few and you've played a few and tried to get good at them, you kind of remember those reflexes, right? You know roughly what you're supposed to do. If you've played Battlefield or you've played Star Wars Battlefront or even Doom or something, right? Then you've got a fair idea of how to play Tarkov. It's different, sure, completely different game in a sense, but the base reflexes are still there. I don't think the same is always necessarily to be said about strategy games, right? I think strategy games don't seem, I don't know, like
there's a lot of things like knowing the UI and stuff. You have some intuition for that.
Sure.
Yeah, there's different play styles for these too. Like, just particularly looking at Delta Force, it's actually got multiple game modes, and one of them is, it's basically a clone of Battlefield 2042. That was the last one. Yeah. And so that's more of your arcadey run and gun, like, mass players pushing the point and your vehicle support and all that kind of thing. Like, it's chaos, right? So that's all very rapid. Everything's very fast, time to kill, and it's very frantic. So that's where your reflexes and all that kind of thing come in. But then when you go to something like the extraction mode, it's a lot slower paced. You can't just rush in because, people will hear you, because the faster you run, the louder you are, the more people are going to be alerted to your presence. If you run into a room and there's an enemy in there, you're just dead. Like, if they know you're coming, you're gone. So you need to slow down quite a bit more. So, I don't know, like there's a lot, your tactical shooters, like your SWAT games, or your Ready or Not, that kind of thing. Like there's other games out there that do it differently and rely on that slower, more thought out play style as well. So I tend to lean more that way now myself. Like, I used to be a somewhat competitive player with Unreal Tournament and that kind of thing when I was younger.
Yeah.
And now I'm just not competitive at it. And I know that. Like, I don't even really bother. I'll muck around with it for fun, but like, it's been a long time since I played anything competitively. But I still enjoy playing these kind of things.
Unreal Tournament was a game that when I used to work at Eurocom back in 2002, everybody, well, not everybody, but there was a lot of people at Eurocom who would at lunchtime all play Unreal Tournament. So I reckon we probably had about 30 players out of a 200-man team, 200-man company. There'd be about 30 players every day, every lunchtime playing Unreal Tournament, man. Or was it Unreal Tournament 2000? I can't remember which one it was, but that was a really popular game. I remember that. It was really good fun.
Yeah. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up before we wrap up. I was going to do the Helldivers 2 thing, the ODST thing, but that's not that important. I think that's just shitting on 343 because they do all their crossovers. I just closed it. Hang on. So MechWarrior 5, they're launching that Shadow of Kerensky DLC on September the 3rd. So that's going to be about the clan invasion, which from memory, I don't think they ever wanted to do in Mercenaries, but clans didn't do super well. So I guess they've just done it anyway. So it's coming with a 12-mission campaign, clan mechs, clan tech. So you're getting Omni-Mech, Mech Lab support, which they would have taken from clans, I'm guessing. You're getting a bunch of different mechs. So you get the Atlas 2, the Bull Shark, new Innisphere variants of mechs, new biomes, 17 new biomes, a new Innisphere map updated. Yeah, especially with mods.
I just got hyper excited, but like Sean and I are playing it. We played this on and off, and this is a game that was really bad when it first came out. It wasn't really bad, but it was mediocre. And mods really, really transformed it from being a mediocre game into a fantastic game. And now I think the base game is actually a lot better than it was. But if you've got a few mods to kind of increase the depth of the game a little bit, it's one of those that I've had to ban myself from playing because it's so addictive. Because you can just keep playing over and over again. There's always another mech that you want to work towards buying or putting together. It's good. It's this sells the fantasy as well, Lucid. I don't know if this is your kind of thing, but simulation, like a simulation shooter, I guess it's kind of like what would you call it?
I played these growing up. So
I sort of think of this like Simcade
stuff. Yeah.
Like, there are sim elements to it, but it's not like super hardcore like a DCS flight sim or something like that. No, it's kind of in the middle. Yeah. So I like this. I've tried to get a few friends into it and they're not really that into it. I think they're more into like the more arcadey run and gun kind of thing. But yeah, this is something that I frequently go back to and just spend hours in. And I'm running how many mods am I running now? I think it's like 72 mods or something ridiculous. And it actually works pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a well-modded game.
Oh, yeah. Well, they changed something about the way that mods load a while ago. And it was like when you load it up, because it used to be it loaded all the mods in and my performance would just chug and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I mean, all the mods, obviously, but like I couldn't figure out what specifically was causing it. And now they've changed the way that mods load in the game and it's actually running quite smooth now. But I've got everything. Like I've got stuff that adds new biomes. There's like lighting changes. I've got the yet another mech lab one. I've got like AI that makes the AI better. I've changed it now so that there's less mechs and units on a map, but they're smarter and more dangerous. So instead of being all sort of arcadey where you're fighting waves and waves of mechs, which doesn't really make sense, there's less of them now, but they're more dangerous to fight against and that kind of thing.
Well,
yeah. So and I've come back every so often and dive into that. Like, I don't know what this is going to do to my mods. I'm just thinking of like, oh my god, I'm going to have to update all of them again. But see, there is actually
Sorry, Tim. Is there a VR mod for it? Because I think this would be a great game to play in VR. Is there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there is. I haven't played it, but it came. So there was one that came out a couple of years ago or something, and I don't think it was maintained, and it wasn't real. Like it was mostly there, but not quite. And then there's a new one that came out because there was what's his face, Prey Dog, the guy that came out with that Unreal VR injector. So there's a new mod that came out based off that is apparently a lot better. So there is a mod. I'm pretty keen to go back into this again, obviously, because I was going to anyway at some point. But there's mods. Yeah, well, there's mods that brought out clan mechs, and I don't know where that really puts them now, if they're just going to get replaced with the official variants or what the go is there. But I don't know, it's cool that they're still supporting it. And I know from seeing the reports and news and stuff, the clans game, which I played, it didn't do super well. So I'm glad they're still supporting this because people are going to keep playing this and paying for it because now it's actually in a really good spot.
Well, they're going to be bringing. This looks like they're bringing in the clan stuff into MechWarrior Mercenaries. So
yeah, that's what they're doing exactly.
Yeah. So if you can actually use the clan stuff as well, that's going to be a big thing for the game because it's going to open up a whole lot of new stuff. So yeah, this is one of those games like Bannerlord, like Manta Bay Bannerlord, that I've kind of banned myself from playing because they're so like. You can pick it up. I'll put on some fucking crazy music, like some really intense music, like some crazy metal or some gabber or something, and then I'll have that in the background, and then with my HOTAS, just like, and like, my missus she'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing in there?" I'll just be like living, it's like, I'm in a fucking mech, mate. So like, yeah, but I was spending so much time playing that, and I had to stop because it's made to be really addictive, I think. Kind of
and the sheer replayability of something like Mercs, especially when you put mods on. Like I've got Coyotes, which adds a bunch of different mission types, and they'll be usually more complex than the vanilla missions. There'll be something like, instead of just go here and kill this mech and his mates or whatever, there's one about there'll be a convoy escort, and you do it from both ways. Like there'll be one where you've got to escort a convoy to a point, or you'll have the other version that can come up where you have to go and find a convoy and destroy it. But then they've got like radar stations that can pick you up, and then you'll get swarmed. And then like if they make it near the base, you can't effectively destroy the base because it's so heavily armed. Like they make more complex missions. So there's a crap ton of mods out there, and it's in such a good spot right now, I think.
That's great. Yeah, looking forward to that. Then I bought a few of the DLCs on that, and honestly, I never played a lot of the content because I was still playing the base game stuff.
Yeah, I actually got one that moves the start date of all the events way back so that I can muck around with it, because I've got one that slows down your progression. It'll get you to unlock the cantina where you can get all your upgrades and stuff, but then it slows it way down after that, so you can really slow down and pick up all your different mechs. I almost play it like Pokemon, I'm trying to collect a whole bunch of different, like one of every mech chassis.
Yeah. Look at that, though. Yeah. Graphics.
Did y'all ever play Battletech?
Yeah, I play Battletech loads, man.
Yeah.
It's one of my... I play Mega Mech, the computerized version. I bought all of the rule books for it as well, because you still need to know the rules to be able to play Mega Mech a little bit. You can kind of pick it up as you go, but knowing the BattleTech rules really helps. But that's one of my favorite strategy games. I think it's one of the best tabletop games ever made. I think it's so elegant.
So I've got the PC one. I think I've got BattleTech Advanced, the mod. Yeah, I finished the campaign of it.
Sorry.
Did you? Yeah, he's got the PC version loaded.
Oh, you're on about Hairbrain Schemes game. Yeah, I didn't like this that much.
Oh, this
one reason.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the campaign was like a bit basic, but the mod's cool. Like I was playing Advanced, and that it's like that middle ground between the really hardcore stuff and the basic stuff. So I quite like it. And then I've also got
I kind of gave up on the campaign. It got like it felt like very handholdy for too long. Yeah. And I was like, oh, these are boring missions,
I finished
tried to fix that by adding some new modes and stuff, but this is one of those games that came out in that kind of period that I'm not that keen on.
Yeah, well, even at the end, it
had some signs of
it's all this coded messaging.
Yeah, it came out in the woke period, and it had some stuff in it that kind of like put me off it a little bit.
The message.
It had the message in it a little bit too much. It was like, oh no, poor old Hillary lost the campaign, like whatever. But actually, the execution of the game wasn't too bad. I think they did quite a good job of. But there's some weird stuff. Like if you played tabletop BattleTech, Hairbrain Schemes BattleTech makes no fucking sense. Like it took them ages. Like there's no point in having. I think Edmond figured out that there's an optimal strategy to your builds. So you always take like lasers or medium lasers. That's like the only thing you ever need. Because if you use autocannons, they're just completely pointless. They hadn't thought about the game that hard. Whereas like classic BattleTech, it's very, very clever because there's a reason to have the autocannons. There's a lore reason that you have to take the shittier weapons as well, and that makes that game really engaging in a way, because okay, well, you've got this mech that's kind of crap, like a charger or something. You're just like, what? 5 single like small lasers on a heavy, on an assault mech. But then it's like, well, there's lore reasons for it, and actually you can use these things in creative ways. And I don't think that really translated well at all into Hairbrain Schemes game. It was
okay.
They kind of that translation from tabletop to video game. They've changed a whole bunch of stuff around, and I think some of it didn't really work very well. But then you go play something like your Rogue Tech or your BattleTech Advanced, which leads more into the tabletop side of things and reworks a lot of the mechanics, and then you start to see real benefits from things. But then it's funny because then even in MechWarrior, they'll have things that don't translate very well between a turn-based game and a more action kind of game. Like you'll have the grasshopper is a big one. Is you get the grasshopper because it's like a heavy 70 tonner, I think.
Yeah, I think.
And then
it's
it's basically a laser boat, right, with jump jets.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that you can use all the jump jets to jump behind an enemy and just absolutely wreck them in the rear arc.
Yeah,
and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work that well in MechWarrior because you can't really jump behind anyone. You can jump into cover and stuff, but you don't really get an opportunity to jump behind someone and then use them the way that they're meant to be used. So there's some of them that don't really translate that well.
Yeah, that's like things like I think they tried
I thought you could do the thing where you jump and land on their head like Mario. And,
DFA.
The death from above, yeah. But that, I mean, that's super risky in the tabletop because you tend to wreck your own mech doing it as well, which is why it's really exciting. But there are some mechs. Is it the Highlander is designed to do that? So there's a mech called the Highlander. I think it's an assault mech, if I remember right. It's a heavier an assault, and it's got fucking tons of jump jets, and it's the death from above king. So you know whenever you're fighting one on the tabletop, you know your opponent's going to pull that fucking thing out on you.
Well, you could do it in the PC game too.
Keep away.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Yeah. And they added it wouldn't be vanilla, it's probably BTA, but they added multiple attack options when you get an enemy, so you can either do DFA, but they obviously balanced it out so it will do, I think it does even more damage than vanilla, the DFA in BTA. But then you also have multiple options for attacking someone. You can punch them, you can kick them, you can charge them and try and knock them down, and they'll have varying amounts of damage and stability. Like, you know, each option is balanced out so that it's got different risks and reward and that kind of thing. But yeah, it gave you a whole bunch of different options for how you could choose to attack someone.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So speaking of,
this wasn't a terrible game. The harebrained schemes rubbed me up the wrong way. They went on a bit of a banning spree when people were complaining about some of the stuff in the game. I got banned. That's why I got banned from the forums.
Okay. Now we see what's really happening.
Oh, that's why Matt he got banned. Yeah, okay, there you go.
I did, yeah. It's like, why is it you can't have blonde women in the game, but you can have women with beards? And that was it. They gave me 3 strikes just for that one comment, and they abused the Steam system. So I was a bit like, all right, if you're going to play it like that.
Yeah, see, I didn't really notice any of that stuff. I was just like, I don't know.
Oh no, it was full of woke stuff, man. That game was. There was the whole she should have won. That was the story. She should have won.
I don't know. I just played through it, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. And then I just went to the mod and career mode and never touched the campaign again. Career mode's sick. It's cool. Speaking of, I have a giant pile of shame behind me that I don't think I can get to, but I've got all my Kickstarter stuff still sitting there in boxes.
Oh, your minis, yeah. I've got a bunch of half-painted BattleTech stuff as well, man.
Oh, dude, there's so many minis. There's like 3 boxes of just BattleTech stuff. I've barely touched any of it.
So for BattleTech, you think the best thing is you do career mode?
Yes.
For me, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might pick up this. I think I only did the campaign for a bit, then quit.
Yeah, the campaign's pretty railroady. But yeah, if you do the campaign, like not the campaign, the career, like it'll start you particularly with something like BTA.
You can do missions if you want.
They have them as flashpoints. They're like little mini campaigns, so you can still do the missions, but as your mech company, not as whatever the Lady Irana or whatever the hell her name was. But you get to choose how you start. So, and I know with something like BTA gives you even more options. Like you can do stupid things. You can start with a company that has nothing but tanks and things like that. And you can actually start out just by yourself with no other players, no other like teammates. That's cool. It gives you a whole bunch of options to start. And then it really is that. It's the same like in MechWarrior 5. Like you just go from planet to planet to planet and you do all these jobs and you'll have all these mini storylines that you can do as you go. And it's a lot more sort of, I don't know if organic's the right word, but like it's more open. You can just do more or less whatever you want. Yeah, it's the way to do it, I think. Yeah, that's why everyone with clans were just like, why is there no sandbox mode? Which I don't know if it really worked in clans, but in mercenaries it works really well.
Huh. All right. Well, I might have to try some of these next time I'm bored.
Dude. If you want to do, if you have mercenaries and want to do like co-op career mode at some point, give CL. That'd be sick.
Yeah, co-op's good for me and Sean played it a little bit together.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it was like I had a few beers running around in mechs.
Co-op's going to be available in Dawn of War 4 too. So that's pretty huge. Yeah.
That is a good selling point. We found with Sins of Solar Empire, people play co-op like more, I think, than competitive multiplayer. I don't know if that's the truth, but certainly co-op is a big part of people playing multiplayer, because I think it's more of a sell for an RTS game to get somebody who's not that who's not that competitive, to get them in to do a comp stomp, than it is to try and convince them to play against sweaty tryhards on Discord. So co-op games can be really good fun, man.
Yeah. I find with that
think
thing
that's
like,
probably like the most important mode.
yeah, I find with that thing like, your competitive players they're very vocal, but they're a pretty big minority. So the vast majority of your players aren't interested, and we've seen it happen time and time again, because we've seen all these games at launch. Oh, we're going to target the RTS, we're going to target the esports market, and nothing happens. They shut their doors after 6 months or whatever, because they're targeting the wrong crowd. So they're having co-op and having that. I think focusing on that single player and co-op content, which is what King Art originally tried to do with Iron Harvest before they tried to cater to the multiplayer crowd as well. I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Guys, we should start
maybe we wrap this up.
Yeah. We're at 2 hours.
Jinx.
Oh. Yeah. So thanks for that. That was cool, man. I really like doing these open-ended episodes, because I think it's a good way to it always kind of stimulates conversation around the sort of games design stuff and the sort of like topical stuff as well. But yeah, I think it's cool to shoot the shit. Have you guys got anything to add?
No,
I think I couldn't actually find a lot of stuff, so actually it's worked out pretty well. Like, I always like this because it kind of just flows into whatever, and then we don't really have to plan too much.
Yeah. One question I do want to ask you both is just briefly, what games are you playing at the moment? Is there anything you're playing that you enjoy?
I was playing Dune Awakening, but I've stopped playing it. Like, the lore stuff's really cool, but I think I'm just going to look something up, because the grind just irritates the shit out of me. I'm in the second area, and I'm already like, I'm done with this.
MMORPG.
Yeah, survival-y, crafty thing, yeah. Bit of Voidbreaker, so it launched into early access. It's a roguelite first-person shooter. It's kind of like Doom if you were fighting robots instead of demons, and it was a roguelite. So there's that. I want to get back into No Man's Sky, because they just launched a new update, and I haven't played it in ages, and it's actually gotten really good, because it's got those granular settings, and you can get rid of a lot of that refining everything into other stuff grind that used to bug the crap out of me. Like, I just grind. I don't have time for it anymore. Bit of Helldivers 2. So they launched the ODST Warbond, because they launched it on Xbox. So you've got like weapons from Halo and like ODST gear that you can equip, which is, I don't know, I'm sold. It's sick. So I've got some of the stuff already. I've just been running around in like ODST gear, like mowing down aliens from Starship Troopers and stuff. So that's cool. And the other one was, Delta Force. So I've just been doing that with, I got my brothers into it. Just been running around, mucking around in that.
What about you, Lucy?
I've been playing a few. A lot of these are related to the game I'm working on, because we're trying to like figure out different, first of all, every time a game that comes out that's sort of in the same arena, we try to play it. Yeah. Either the demo or the full game. So there's a few kind of like these auto battler games that have come out. So one of them is Fantasy Kingdom Sim. Fantasy Kingdom. This one, Super Fantasy Kingdom. This one's kind of cool. This one actually has a lot of, it only has the demo out. You can download the demo and play it right now. But you basically build up a little castle, and the whole game is kind of a weird meta progression part. I don't think I really like that part, but like when you first start, you can't hardly build any buildings. You have no roads to like build your little buildings at, but you basically place these heroes in front of your castle, and the waves get harder, and you upgrade your heroes and stuff, and they fight. You can't control them directly, so it's kind of like an auto battler. But anyway, it's cool and fun. So I played that for a bit. There's another game that came out. This one's kind of interesting. Nidica, and it just released a little bit ago. It actually got mixed reviews. I was actually expecting it. One of the things we try to predict too is like for these games, any game we've played, like if we play it before it releases, do we think it's going to do well or not? And we didn't think this one was going to be like a smashing success, but we thought it would do better than this. Like 66% with only this many reviews is pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Mind you, they sold well.
Yeah, I think there were some problems in it.
Sold well. I mean, that's a lot of reviews for an indie. Is that an indie game? Indie small studio?
Yeah, yeah. Mad Mango. I think they have some mobile stuff maybe or something, but it's fun. So this is like a what I don't even know if it's a name in the genre, but it's what we're calling a stat accumulation game, in that you basically figure out how to make like the stats go up on your units. And so there's a bunch of different like shadow economies, like you're managing your stat economy, you're managing your gold economy, your experience economy, your spell economy. There's a bunch of things. So basically it's a fun little auto battler, and you lay these guys out and then they'll buff adjacent units. And but this one I actually had a good bit of fun playing. I might put a bit of this up on my channel. I think it's better than this. I think it should be probably like 75 is what I sort of expected. So it's like 10% less than I thought.
I wonder what's happened there.
It was about something you were saying there really quick. Oh, this will be a whole different episode. I'm not going to talk about it now. Just when you're saying about you try and anticipate how the game is going to do when it launches. There was a YouTuber that I follow, and he was talking about like early access fatigue, and he's saying now he starts looking at them when they launch and try and figure out whether they're actually going to succeed or not. But yeah, there was a whole different subject. You mentioned it then. I'm like, oh yeah, like neuron activation. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's easy to like retroactively be like, oh yeah, this is why this game failed or something. But can you predict it ahead of time? Because if you're a developer and you're putting your game out, you want to know if it's going to do well, and you want to fix the things until it does. So anyway. This one is fun, but it's like very kind of casual and just like a dopamine releasing game. And then what was the other one I played? Oh, The King is Watching. This one's actually really good. This one got
that was that Hooded Horse one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Or no, is it? I guess not.
Oh no, not thinking of the wrong thing.
Tiny build.
But this one is kind of weird. It has this mechanic I didn't think I would like at all, where you can watch a certain number of tiles, and those tiles work over here on the left. And then that'll determine the number of resources you generate. And then like you have barracks. And so like if you work a barrack, you'll recruit units, but like up to a cap. So like here you can see there's 14 cap of this particular type of unit. Anyway, so you basically generate resources or you generate units, and then the units come out here and you can't control them. They're out here. So it's again an auto battler of sorts. So pretty much all the auto battlers that come out, I try to watch them. Or play them or something. But this was pretty fun.
A lot.
Yeah,
I think they're the way forward.
It's all these things. None of these things have auto battlers or auto battles where the battle themselves are actually really that interesting compared to something like Dominions. It's either like you've invested enough, like you have a certain amount of. It's more like a fight in Stellaris or something, where you have like an army power of 1,000, and if you're too far under it, you're going to take attrition and die. So there's not a lot of thought that's put into it, which, as a Dominions player, that is a little sad. But
I get you.
But it's still cool seeing how they do these mechanics, like how this game's kind of cool because it's all done from basically one screen. Like once you have this meta progression screen, but pretty much the game itself is all done on this screen. So anyway, these are the ones I've been playing lately.
Yeah, cool.
I've not been playing a whole lot, particularly modern game. I'm mostly playing like emulated games at the moment. So I'm going through a massive back catalogue of old arcade games, and been playing a lot of fighting games. So I haven't really got much to talk about that's that exciting, really. I did get the Gradius collection, Gradius Origins, which is a bunch of old shoot 'em ups from the 80s and 90s that have been updated by M2 Shot Triggers. Very, very good developer for game preservation stuff. So that was really nice. I've just been playing that, and I haven't really had that much time to play games recently. So I'll have more to report next time we do one. I expect next time we do a podcast. But I am trying to ease myself back into strategy gaming because I've really taken a big excursion from it this year, and I need to get back into it a little bit, really. So if anybody's got any suggestions, let me know, and I'll probably ignore all of them.
Oh, we're going to give a Space Marine too. I wanted to do that.
Oh yeah, Sean very kindly got me a copy of that, man. So I need to check that out. I've got it installed. But
anyway.
I haven't played that. I kind of do want to play that one. Yeah,
it does look good. It looks
so good.
Looks really good fun. I might be one to play with my fiance because she quite likes stuff like that from time to time, and she prefers playing them with other people. So maybe I'll stick that on the big telly in the front room and play it.
Yeah,
play it with
we can set something up.
Yeah, man. Anyway,
cool.
thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and let us know what you think in the comments. Apologies that the schedule has been a little bit haphazard recently. I'm mostly the guy who tends to kind of get people together to do these things, and I've not really been around. But that I'm hoping for that to change. So our intention is to try to get something out every week if we can. If not, it'll be every 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, we'll try. We'll vary who's on as well. So we're going to get a bit of a mix of the episodes going on. I like to do the games design chat episodes, but I think not everybody's into those. So I think we'll try and mix them up with this kind of thing, and perhaps we'll do some. We'll try and cover some games if there's any games that come out that are stuff that we've all got the time to check out and really do a proper review of. That might be something we could do too. But anyway, leave your suggestions in the comments. Let us know what you think of the podcast, guys. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks to Lucid Tactics and to Frag Tactics here. Always good fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah, cheers, man.
All right, yeah, absolutely fun. Take care.
Okay. See you later, guys. Take care.